I have it on good authority. They will be performing tonight. That is what I heard. Man.
Are we sure it's not going to be too much sunshine to play?
It is not. It is not going to be too much. Man, it was so weird before the storms like really hit. You know, you're sitting there and you're just kind of, it is the calm before the storm. The sun's out. Woo, when it hit last night, woo-wee. Tell you what, called in, spoke to the boys. It felt like a freight train drove through the house on a few occasions, how big and bad the thunder it was, because I was doing editing and was doing a bunch of stuff. And I had my headphones on, you could hear through there. And I was like, damn. So they will be performing tonight. So weather better. Thank goodness for that, because I'm off for the next couple days. I needed that. Needed some time off, going to relax. You're going to work, right? We got Des in the next couple days?
Yeah.
Oh, right on. Does he bring any of us? Is he playing guitar for you guys or anything?
Nah.
What if he picks up the guitar anymore?
The last time he filled in, he said he hadn't played lately.
Isn't that weird?
I guess he's too busy living life.
I guess so. You know, if you guys don't know who he is, he used to be one of the Revolution. Probably the Revolution,
It was Prince's band. He was his guitarist.
Yeah, but he was kind of like, he was the dude in the Revolution. Because Prince had the Revolution, and he was the Revolution. That's what I always say. Just crazy. But I'm going to be off the next couple days. Thank goodness. I need some time off. Lots of chaos going on. So I don't know if you guys, so they're out and about, you know, this whole thing. I keep telling me, who's this going to hit harder? It's not going to hit Biden harder, the BS. Okay, it's just not. Why? Because it's the same thing that when Herr came out with his report, he's an old dude who's not there. You're not going to go after him. The family? Absolutely. The media is in a lot of trouble. I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but check this out. Did you know that there was a fake town hall meeting that they did? So they do a fake town hall, and it's going to be like a commercial. So they bring in all of these people to do this town hall with Biden. So think about that for a second. It's going to be a commercial that they're getting ready to roll out. So they bring them all in. They're spending millions of dollars on this thing because they're going to take, you know, it's a couple hours. They're going to take a bunch of the questions and answers, turn it into one of those feel good, I'm Joe Biden and I paid for this, endorsed this, blah, blah, blah. And let's just say it didn't go well.
So they took 90 minutes, 2 hours out of the president's day. They filmed an entire town hall, and they determined that it was not usable. Now, some people say this was because Joe Biden was incoherent. He could not really articulate his thoughts in a pithy or even semi-normal way. Some people just said, like, the lighting was bad. That was sort of the 2 points of view. But the point is, it shows, like, what the campaign status was in the spring of 2024 when they were trying to, deal with a candidate that wasn't a decline.
That's Alex Thompson. They spent millions of dollars.
And the lighting was bad. This is our guy, Lonely Scott Jennings of CNN going, wait, what?
Wait, someone told you the lighting was bad?
That's one of the excuses.
You're saying that they spent millions of dollars to stage a town hall? Well, we didn't get the lighting right.
That was one of the excuses.
I mean,
unbelievable.
and this comes back to the question of how many people were aware of things like that?
A lot. I don't, you know what? Let me phrase that. To the extent that they knew, I don't know how many knew as bad as it was. But the media is one thing. But how do you tell? Because so the town hall has 100-some people there, right? So they're all Biden supporters. They all show up, right? They're there. They're Biden supporters. They think this is going to be great, right? They're either voting against Trump or voting against the Republicans. They're not there because they're super Biden supporters. Maybe some older people, maybe. So they go there. And you mean to tell me that you couldn't pull 60 seconds of video and audio out of that for a commercial? That's how bad that was? And those people walked out probably thinking, I can't vote for that guy. I may not vote for Trump, but I can't vote for that guy. And the lighting was bad. Like, we've all been in this industry a long time. The lighting ain't that bad when you're spending millions. And by the way, millions of dollars. Remember, this is the group of folks that do what? That have Hollywood on speed dial, that are any given moment ready to roll with any star that you need for the most part. No, Nobody buys that. This has gotten, as the day goes on, and there's a lot of stuff in the book that isn't like that's a wow moment, but there's a lot of stuff that they haven't put in the book. And that I think is going to come out. I can't believe that's the. How did nobody say anything? I'll tell you why. Keep doing this. Go look and see who's on the board of any of these major corporations from the administration. And the higher they up on the board or in a lobbying group or in some nonprofit making $1 million a year, the closer they were to the president. The closer they were. And somebody says, well, what if you're like, because think about this. If you're a big wig in and around the president, you may not want to say something, okay, they sworn you to secrecy, whatever. You know, you're worried about your career. If you're an underling, you're worried about a lot of stuff. You may see some stuff, but you're not going to say anything. Because if you say something, that your career is completely dead. But what you're seeing now is more and more people are coming out because there's safety in numbers. And they recognize that. Oh, we got a lot of this stuff to talk about today. I don't know who's in more trouble, the Democrats or the media or Dr. Jill, not a licensed medical professional, as I remind everybody of that. Young Ken, how are you, brother? That's the.
I'm doing good, brother Chad.
That right there is the weather wizard, right?
I don't know about that.
We were talking about that. Don't worry, my wife's already ordered you a cape and a staff. I'm not lying. She did. She wanted you to have a cape and a staff so you could control the weather when times are tough. We're going to have good weather today. Are we still on? Is it 7:37 tonight? AC/DC? I want to make sure.
AC/DC is on today, boys. And it's the same as yesterday from what I understand. 3 o'clock parking, 5 o'clock gates open, and 7 o'clock, the Pretty Reckless takes the stage ahead of the boys from down under.
Oh, I love that. I'm pumped. Tickets still available. Not a lot. It was about 2,000 yesterday before the storms came. Of course, I broadcast live from the field last night. There was nobody there. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Parking lot's open at 4.
4.
Gates open at 6. Now show starts at 7:30. I don't know why everything's like an hour later than it was yesterday, but
naps. I don't know.
Got to take naps, that sort of
Whatever.
thing.
They're getting their hair done. What do you think they get their hair
Like
done?
getting the gray touched up?
Getting their hair did. Getting their hair did. Somebody just texted and says, shame on Robert Hur for not prosecuting. You know what? You couldn't prosecute because you weren't going to get a win. That's just it. Let me tell you about the federal prosecutors, and they'll all tell you this. You know what they prosecute? Slam dunks. They don't. Go look at the numbers. They knew they weren't going to get a win, and because he was also not there. You're not going to prosecute somebody who's got, who's got mental issues with a cognitive decline that way. It's just, it wasn't going to work. It wasn't. Now, other people need to have a serious comeuppance. And if I'm also some of these companies that got deals signed in some way, shape, or form, ooh-wee, I'm telling you, I'm going, all right, what's our liability here? Because we're not quite sure he actually signed this thing. And what are we on the hook for? Could we be in trouble for? What did we know? Did we not know? And I was watching Tapper. Tapper was at the debate. So earlier today, oddly enough, he was on Morning Joe, which is weird to see him over there. But they asked him what it was like at the debate, and he said, as bad as you thought it was on TV, it was way, way worse in person because they were clueless how bad he did. When he got off, he thought he did a pretty good job, and he said that they've got iPads that they can talk to the control room, and after the first answer of we beat Medicaid, he writes to them, oh, my God, this is a disaster.
And it was.
Yeah, and it got worse. He said it was worse in person. He goes, when he came off, he goes, Trump was gone. The minute it was over, he goes, Trump is, he's Morgan Wallen it like in Saturday Night Live. He's on the plane and he's heading home. He goes, Jill and them come down to shake hands. He goes, first of all, it's completely awkward because Dana Bash and I both realized how awful this was. And he goes, secondly, he thinks he's done pretty good. And he goes, I don't even know what to say with him. He goes, I just keep diverting and talking to his wife about the Philadelphia Phillies or something because it's that bad. Man. So when you're in trouble next time, pull a Biden. Well, you'd actually have to have that. And the whole thought about it is, again, going back to the cancer thing. What are they saying? He hasn't been tested since 2014, which is ridiculous, unless they told him not to test. Unless they told them, hey, he's going to run for president, do not test him for anything, because anything that shows up will probably rule him out, and Jill doesn't want to give that up. Which is, again, the want and the power crave of these people is fascinating. I can see how it can suck people in, right? What was it? Kissinger said, power is the greatest aphrodisiac. I mean, just look at old Bill Belichick there. Little money, little power. Did you see he got engaged? Now let's hear for Bill. Got engaged. Woo! It's a great aphrodisiac, and people get seduced by it in serious ways. But this is the media is in trouble more so than the Biden, or at least Biden himself. Again, there's some serious questions about his son and his wife that needs to be looked at. How much they'll pursue it, I don't know, and the powers around him. But when it comes to, and the Democrats have a lot to answer for. And they can sit there and say, oh, but he's got cancer. We shouldn't talk about it. We're not talking about his cancer. We're not talking about him at this point in time. We're talking about you lying to us, telling us he's in the back room. You guys can't see him because he's painting, he's juggling, he's riding a unicycle.
Yeah, but we lied for all the right reasons.
For all the right reasons. That's what it is, man. Lying for the right reasons. Lying for the right reasons, because that's exactly what they thought they were doing. Because anything to stop Trump. And I still go back to, she didn't know anything because they were never going to tell her, because she would have ran out in a minute and told everybody. And on the other side of it, you sit there and say, oh, the Democrats was protect the brand, the ones that did know, until they could figure it out. Interesting. We'll have more of this. Bunch of stuff. I've got some audio today that's going to make Ken's heart smile.
Crazy people.
We got some woke stuff. We got White Woman Wednesday. If you don't know what that is, that's where white women lecture us on how great they are and how much we suck.
I love it.
We got a lot of other good stuff to get to today. If you're missing the show, we always say shame on you. Grab the podcast. Good stuff straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 997. Kids, let me tell you something. Best earbuds around are the Raycons. I wear my Raycons all the time. Last night I had my Raycons on, and I had the awareness mode on, and that's when I heard all the thunder and lightning, but I really need to focus, the thunder, so what do? I put my focus version of my Raycons, so just with the touch of a button, where I could just hyper-focus and not have to hear anything out there. These things are amazing. Right now, 15% off. They've got incredible quality of sound, but the fit goes with it, which matters, because if you've ever had bad earbuds, oh God, that's awful. Top of all of that stuff, 15% off. You're going to get the amazing color choices, but all of the website is 15% off. That includes their earbuds, their headphones, their gaming headphones, and all of the stuff with Raycon. It is truly amazing. Get your Raycons now. Win Father's Day. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. And you get a 30-day happiness guarantee. Buyraycon.com/Chad. The Wellness Institute of Nashville. Right now, it's got something for you. It's the Big 47, right? In honor of the 47 president, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. So you want a life pain-free? Of course you do. And your back, as you know, once it goes south, it isn't a good thing. You can get your back, as I like to say, with the Wellness Institute. First of all, you're going to go in and see them. So you got Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley. They're going to take care of you. They're incredible. Years and years and years of knowledge. And you take that with all of the amazing tech they have, futuristic to say the least. And what do you have? You have a plan that works for you and your back. Go in there, get a consultation, take an x-ray, find out what plan works right for you to get you up and moving and get rid of that back pain and get you back to living the life you want. Call them today, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or check them out online at painisbad.com.
All right, drivers in Woodbine got a crash blocking the left lane, 24 westbound at I-440. This is where a truck ran off the road into the trees there to the right. Also, Talbot's Corner got a crash, right shoulder block, 65 southbound at I-24. Officials assessing the damage from yesterday's storms here in Middle Tennessee. And a man in California is charged for allegedly luring, kidnapping, and then beating cats to death. We'll tell you about that coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Okay, I want to go back to that. That guy did what in California? What's he doing?
Yeah, this dude is sick. I
wish pain upon him.
Yeah. He lured, kidnapped, and then beat cats to death. And finally, people caught him on surveillance video. And he's in custody.
Sounds like the kind of guy that's well on his way to becoming a serial killer.
That's serial killer stuff, right? Like that's that. You know that guy that blew up the a fertility clinic?
Yeah.
His dad was all, oh, yeah, he burned down our house when we were a kid. When he was a kid. He was obsessed with matches and fire and all this stuff. You do stuff to animals and you do stuff with fire. Yeah, you got problems.
Yes.
Who does that to cats? My God.
Yeah, this guy, his mugshot is... There's nothing there.
What's his immigration status?
Well, I think he's a resident. I think he's a legal resident.
What city was that in?
Southern California. I don't recall the city.
Can't believe
I think it was Wingnut Central.
Wingnut Central? That sounds like a very very real place that should be in California. You're a sick individual when you do stuff like that.
Let's see here. It just says Southern Orange County District Attorney's Office prosecuted him.
Ooh, the OC. My goodness, man. I tend to like animals more than humans half the time because I think animals have better judgment.
Absolutely.
But when you see an animal, it's helpless. What is your thought process? Like, where's that a good idea? Like, that's going to be good. I mean, you're mentally absolutely disturbed. People. I'm telling you, people. Good God, what are we going to do with them? Any news on the House? Well, let's find out. Are we getting some stuff done? Do we have any alternatives to what's going on? Because that big, beautiful bill.
Behind closed doors, the wrangling continues as Speaker Mike Johnson tries to thread the needle. But House Freedom Caucus Chair Andy Harris of Maryland tells Newsmax that Johnson's efforts to appeal to GOP moderates have alienated conservatives.
This bill actually got worse overnight.
Harris says if the bill is put on the floor today, he'll vote against it, and he expects it would fail. The conservative holdouts want deeper cuts to the Medicaid program and a fuller wind-down of Biden-era green energy provisions. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
There's not enough cuts. Go look at how much. Thomas Massey wasn't lying. The amount of stuff that's in this it's just huge. It's our spending problem. We're not going to spend at a level as individuals to bring in enough taxes and revenue and grow enough to cover the amount of stuff that we need to cut. And it's not about getting it back down to zero. It's just never going to happen. But the reality is you and I could not run our house this way. Right? Like every one of us at some point in time.
You wouldn't have a house. You'd be living on the street.
That's it. Yeah, because we can't print money. And there's just not enough cuts in this thing. And the only place you're going to get significant cuts is with the things that everybody's afraid to talk about. And we're not doing it. We're not. And so what are you going to get out of it? You're going to get a situation that's going to be And the funny thing is, the more they appeal to the uber Freedom Caucus, uber conservative side, the more that the moderates who are worried about the growth, yes, but also what you're cutting that is going to come back and bite them in the butt, you get further away from them. And if you go and appeal to them, you get further away from the other ones. And even listening to Burchett, he didn't seem all too sold on everything there. And like they said, it got uglier overnight. And I don't think it's going to get you don't have that 8, 10, 12, 15 seat lead that you need in a situation like this, where you used to be able to go, well, there's 7 of them over there. They're always going to clamor about something, so we don't really care. We're going to leave them alone. And you move on with your life because you've got enough. You just don't have that. And trying to appeal to everybody is going to appeal to nobody at this point in time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I went through a few of the things as much as I possibly could, but we also don't know what it looks like once it goes up top. And they're even saying that, well, yeah, just because we do this doesn't mean this is what the final bill's going to be. And then it's going to come back and
they still won't know what's in it.
No. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to know what's in it. Catnapping is not kidnapping, says somebody. You're not supposed to know what's in that damn thing, dude. That's the goal. Like, the goal is to put so much in there that it exhausts you, confuses you, angers you, and you give up. That's it. It's like everybody gets 10 or 15 pages. Well, if there's 535 of you, that's a lot of pages. And this thing's going to end up, who knows how big it is? I don't know. But what I do know is the math don't math at this moment in time. And if cuts were really important, somebody forgot to tell some of the people putting this together. Coming up, fun audio, crazy audio. I got some stuff that's going to make my man in there laugh hard. Because that's what we want to do today. We got white women explaining to us how horrible we are. We got Gen Zers. Why aren't we asking us questions about Gen X and why aren't we presidents and stuff? It's going to be fun. We'll do that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Let's check traffic for you, drivers. Right now, we got the right 2 lanes blocked to 24 westbound at the Antioch Pike overpass in Glencliff. Still got that crash on the right shoulder, 24 westbound at I-440, where a truck ran off the road into the trees there to the right. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Officials are assessing damage from yesterday's storms in Middle Tennessee. This man in Rutherford County tells Channel 4.
I couldn't believe it, and then I went out back, and my pool's damaged. There's a tree in it, and my fence is completely down. There's more trees out back that are gone, completely gone.
Sounds like you got a frog in your pool, too. Cell phone video appears to show a massive funnel cloud in Clarksville, where people reported damage. Federal immigration officials have been tight-lipped about the final destinations of 8 migrants who they say were violent criminals and are being deported to countries that are not their own.
These are the only 8 on the flight. Because of safety and operational security, we cannot tell you what the final destination for these individuals will be.
That's Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at the Department of Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, who says they were convicted of crimes ranging from murder to sexual assault and their home countries wouldn't take them back. Immigration attorneys say they were not given warning. There are reports the migrants are being sent to South Sudan. Target this morning releasing its earnings report, saying its sales have slipped. Eva Pilgrim.
Sales at Target are down. The retail giant releasing its first quarter numbers this morning, seeing a pretty sizable dip, $23.8 billion compared to $24.5 billion for the same time last year. The CEO calling this a highly challenging environment, saying it's not satisfied with recent performance, announcing it's made leadership changes and created a new acceleration office to make faster progress.
The company did not give details on possible price increases due to tariffs, but says it will continue to make adjustments to pricing. And right now in California, a man is charged for allegedly luring, kidnapping, and beating cats to death. Alejandro Oliveros Acosta faces up to 4 years and 4 months in jail on multiple animal cruelty charges. How'd they get him? Well, officials say they looked at multiple videos from surveillance cameras from March to April, including one allegedly showing Acosta picking up a cat out of his truck, dropping it on the ground, and stomping it. And then on April 3rd, a Santa Ana man was leaving his home when he saw his neighbor, who is Acosta, quote, pick up a cat over his head and slam it to the ground. By the way, whenever they arrested him, he had meth on him. Then they let him out on $40,000 bond. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
All right, guys, I want to tell you about my friends over at Contours, which is incredible. So I've been going there, and look, a lot of us, we're not where we want to be. We got a little few inches around the waist. Things aren't looking as great as we'd like, and that's where Contours comes in. It's in Cool Springs, and they help both men and women. And yes, I go there. My wife goes there. It's incredible. Their ultra slim body contouring guarantees you can lose 2 inches on that first treatment. And it's free, and it's incredible. It's non-invasive, doesn't hurt. It's awesome, so relaxing, and it's instant. I've gone through the process, and it works. I go there, so simple. You lay there, machine comes on, and you just relax. It's just, oh. So they also do facials. They're revitalizing, and their red light therapy is incredible. It's going to tighten your skin, restore your natural glow. Remember, Contours for both men and women. Ladies, you're going to love this. Father's Day's here coming around, too, as well. So what do? Go check them out, ContoursLLC.com. It's ContoursLLC.com. By the way, the red light therapy facials would make a great Valentine's gift and love gift and Father's Day gift and everything. It's awesome. Call 615-236-9960. That's 615-236-9960 today, or visit ContoursLLC.com to schedule. By the way, the Senate, as a standalone, passed no tax on tips unanimously. Now, the one that it was in the House bill, the tips and the overtime, it was going to sunset. So it's only got a couple of years to it. And it's also got a situation, too, where people are saying, well, hold on, we need to put some sort of like barrier in here. So companies just don't go around and say, people are like, well, just, pay me $1, but then pay me the rest of my salary in tips.
I think the income maximum on it was $162,000, which sounds like a lot if you live in Tennessee, but it's not if you're in New York or
L.A.
Or California. But it's also, that number is also supposed to get larger as inflation increases over time.
So it's going to be interesting.
But the Senate passed it unanimously, which is a miracle that happened because they don't agree on anything. And now it's the House's turn, and they'll screw it up.
They'll screw it up. They'll absolutely screw it up. Speaking of screwing stuff up, ladies and gentlemen, we like to have fun. I get these great audio things that I chase down because I love Ken. Ken loves crazy audio. So we're going to start today.
Especially white women.
White women are the best. So this is
are
a larger
lecturing
woman.
us.
Oh, this is the larger white woman. Now, this is for all the other women out there that are angry, hateful at the scale that ruined your life.
The destruction of this scale is dedicated to all of the women whose lives have been ruined and ruled by it. This is for us, ladies. Safety first. I'm tired of you stealing my life. I'm tired of you making me feel if I'm good or bad. I'm tired of you deciding how my day is. No more of you deciding my life. No more of you stealing life from me. This is it. I take back my life.
Oh, my Lord. By the way, she ran out of breath halfway through. She had like a hammer, and she was like starting to breathe hard. It looks like she was. So the scale, of course, it was the scale's fault because the scale hypnotized her and put food in her mouth, as you do. Now we move from that white woman to this white woman, and she's going to lecture us men. If you hear that women say they hate men, why? We need to shut up.
If you're a man and you don't like when women say, oh my God, I hate men, watch this video. A woman says, I hate men. That means because she's largely had negative experiences with men. But it's not all men. I know, but it's a lot. And the sentiment underlying that is we don't know which men are safe. So if you become reactive, you start yelling at us about how it's not all men and some men are good. Show us. Show us. Don't get defensive. Just be there and listen to what we have to say, because trust me, you will be horrified by a lot of our experiences. If we find a man that we like, we will be loyal for as long as we possibly can. There will be no one to even cheat with. We don't like most men. We stay away from them because we feel unsafe.
Oh my, hey, she's going to be as loyal for as long as she possibly can. Okay?
And then she'll cheat on you.
Yeah. Now, man, you're sitting there going, why are we getting picked on? Don't worry. I found a hero for us men today. This is, in just a little while, Tottenham versus Manchester United play in a European Cup final. This man's wife told him not to go.
What's it feeling like being in a Champions League final? You have to.
It's all right. My wife didn't really want me to come. And I said, no, I'm going anyway. Don't like you that much. I'm off.
Interesting relationship.
No, I don't really like you that much. I'm leaving. And so he left.
Off with you.
I mean, honestly, let's think about this a little bit. He loves his wife.
No, he doesn't.
He just doesn't love her nearly as much as he loves European football.
No, his Tottenham is not. I can guarantee you to a person that if they said, if you leave your wife today, we can guarantee your team will win, he would leave her in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Doesn't mean he'd stop seeing her.
No, he'd probably do that too. Oh yeah, don't worry. I'll push you down. I'll push you down flight of stairs if you want me to. No? You know what I mean? We're not finished, kids. These white women need to really come after us because, first of all, whiteness is the worst thing ever.
Oh yes.
Most white people, especially in the West, even if they are part of other marginalized groups, i.e., trans, queer, disabled, whatever it is, most white people expect equality because of their whiteness. Let me say that again. Most white people expect equality, safety, rights, and all of that because they were born white. Now, I know that seems like a really hard pill to swallow.
Yes, it does.
I know that I walk.
Yeah.
I know I walk around constantly thinking I was born white.
I can't stop thinking. I know Chris was talking about how circumcision is all that just it's on his mind 24/7.
Yeah.
For me, I just wake up and I'm all white, 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 white.
I look in the mirror and I say, I'm white.
White. Oh, she's not done. Guys, we're just getting, guys, shut up and listen.
And that really made me think about, the trans and queer community is that sometimes white people will only fight for a cause if it is about them.
More white stuff.
And this is something that I've had to really take to heart, especially as I'm watching things like Gaza unfold, because that's not about me. I am not over there. But therefore, does that mean I need to sit back and stay silent? And we're seeing a lot of people do that. And I'm just using that as an example, by the way.
I'm sure you are. White, 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 more white. And I love how they always go straight from the LGBTQ plus community to the other part of the community in the world that absolutely embraces gay culture, which is Palestine.
Yeah. Yeah, they love them over there.
They do. They love them. But you know what? They love them flying.
What, you mean off a rooftop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How about one more from her? She's not done, guys. She's really mad at us.
My friend and I were talking about white people.
Of course you are.
And how many of them are voting for their own oppression, and they don't even know it. But that's because they don't feel that they should be oppressed in the first place. But my question for my trans and queer community who are white is look into your heart and ask yourself, where did the expectations of safety come from? Does it come from the fact that you truly feel that everyone on this planet deserves equality? Or does it come from the fact that you are white and you are born into a system and you expect the equality and the safety and the justice because of the color of your skin?
Oh, you guys get that? Jiminy Cricket.
These people are insane, man.
Let me tell you, first of all, you want to talk about whiteness? Screw your whiteness, lady. You know what that is? That right there, what you just rambled on, that's called privilege. You want to know what the privilege is? Red, white, and blue. Black, gay, straight, brown, Asian, tall, thin, a midget, a giant, fat, everything, trans. You're born in the United States of America, automatically you start on second base with a T-ball up there.
Yeah.
Now, some people, they start, running home after a grand slam, but you start on second base. That's the privilege. When you see these baristas out there, excuse me, yeah, when you see them out there whining about how they're taking your rights away, do you have any idea what you're talking about? You do not. You are living in a world where the privilege is you can bitch about your pronouns and what kind of 12 genders you think there should be without the fear of being tossed off a building, without the fear of wondering where your next meal's going to come from or anything else. Because the red, white, and blue and Uncle Sam are like, yeah, you might be a little crazy, but you're ours. So settle down. Now, speaking of crazy, I'm not finished yet because I've got more. Anybody? This is about pronouns because here's another privilege thing. You know who has pronouns? Privileged people.
And they've been really attracting a lot of negative attention. And I feel like there are a lot of assumptions being made about me that are not quite true. So first of all, I just want to say I do also use a standard set of pronouns. I use he, they in addition to yeehaw. I think that if you're going to use neopronouns, you'll probably have a better experience in life if you pick at least one set of standard pronouns, even they, them, to be okay with, to be cool with. Because the reality is, and I know this, a lot of people are telling me this, but I am aware that a lot of people in the world will not even remotely try to respect neopronouns. They think it's silly, they think it's dumb, whatever.
It is silly and dumb. It's stupid.
Yes, it is. And I will never do it.
No, never. Oh, but wait till you hear her pronouns, what she wants to be called by, because it gets better than this. Again, this is privilege, not the color of your skin, the fact that you have a phone, you live in a world where you're able to go online and say wacky, crazy stuff, and that is a privilege that you don't quite get.
I know it's not silly and dumb. I'm not going to let that get me down just because there are a lot of people who won't use my pronouns for me. I don't really give a about what random strangers gender me as. I don't get upset when somebody calls me ma'am at the store. I just don't really give a But when I get to know people personally, and especially people close to me, that's when I'm like, hey, these are my neopronouns. I would prefer to be called yeehaw if possible.
She wants to be called yeehaw if possible.
Good grief,
That's what she wants to be
just
called.
call you nutty.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you this. At what point in time was it bad to call you, what's your name, Linda? Linda.
Karen.
Yeah.
Right? When did we get to the point where calling you by your name was somehow not cool?
Because she didn't pick that name. It was imposed upon her by a white supremacist. called her parents.
I get that. I get the white supremacy thing is very real. The evil parents that raised you and put you through school and sent you to Emory College and spent $137,000. So you didn't even do underwater basket weaving. It was too tough. Which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, that is actually a class.
Is it really?
Yeah, because basket weavers used to weave underwater because it would take the reeds and it would make them easier to work with.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but those people were living in a world where that was the best thing they had.
Yeah.
How about one more for her, because she's awesome, because I need to hear, what was your pronoun? Yeehaw?
I do want to also just make the point that the people close to me do, in fact, use my neopronouns. And in fact, when I lived in Seattle and I was very enmeshed in the trans community there, it was very normal to use neopronouns. I know lots of friends who use neopronouns. It's not, I've got a lot of comments that are like, the only people that use these are 13-year-olds on Tumblr and whatever. I'm almost 27. I know people in their 30s using neopronouns. Anyone can use neopronouns if they want to. And it makes people melt. It makes people lose their minds. And I think that's silly. And I will not stop defending neopronouns.
That's Seattle. That's all she needed to say.
Neo. You know what I've used neo-wise? I'm going to tell you guys, Neosporin. That's it. It's the only thing I've ever used neo-wise. I will never stop defending.
Oh, my.
These are, and you know, we joke about this stuff, but let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but many of you sitting here listening to this, you probably had to go through, 50 hours in the last year of crap online for your company.
Yeah.
Over stuff like this.
Yep.
Right? You know, these people are in your office. When I was out in Arizona, I held a door open for somebody who, now mind you, I'm a talk show host who books $1 million+ a year, who's got 30 years of experience. I held a door open for one of the interns who went on to try to read me the riot act for how dare I do that.
So the next time you just slam it in their face.
No, what she did realize is I don't care because I didn't work for the company. I was a contractor. And let's just say she wasn't my intern anymore or my on-air partner's intern at all. It was, how dare I? I was just doing something nice. Like, you know, and the other thing is,
trying to be courteous to him as a person.
As a person.
And
That's
they take
right.
it as an insult.
And the thing is, you know, who saw it were other women who work in the office who love me. And so what they did was they made her life miserable.
Well, and these people are miserable to start with.
They are
man.
miserable.
They are just...
You can't be happy if every day you wake up and the thing that you're looking for is you're always on high defense for being offended.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to survive. That can't make you happy. That makes you miserable. You got to do better than that. Hopefully one day you'll snap out of it. I doubt it, though, because, well, somebody like that sounds like they're going to be single, and their 8 other friends are also going to be single, so they'll be miserable forever.
Yeehaw!
Coming up, scary story. You guys hear about the monkeys in the Panamanian Islands? Probably not. I'm going to break it to you, and I want you guys to know. If you thought that whole thing with the skin thing was weird, with the wiener stuff that Chris was talking about, and these lunatics, oh, my Lord. Panamanian Islands, what? Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens are amazing for your dog. I want you guys to try Rough Greens right now. Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens coming to you, $20 value for free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's a few bucks. 1 scoop a day. Don't change your dog's food. Your dog's food, it's dead food. This is going to bring your dog's food to life. Give them all the nutrients your dog's food's missing, and it's going to help change their life. It's going to give them more energy. It's going to help with their aches and their pains. It's going to help with their fur, their skin, their digestive tract, their heart. It is incredible. If you're like me and you love your dogs, this is incredible, right? Dr. Dennis Black, the naturopathic doctor, formulated this, put this out, and he swears by it for years. Millions of dogs tried, and they love it. You'll love it, too. And here's another great thing. Not only will they love the taste, but you're going to love what it does for them because less vet bills, which is a super big win, especially how expensive dogs are nowadays. Try Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens. It's going to come to you for free. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's a $20 value. Roughgreens.com/Chad. RUFFgreens.com/Chad.
All right, drivers, we've got vehicles slowing down to look at a crash. It is backing up 24 eastbound at the Antioch Pike overpass. The stop-and-go traffic starts at I-40. Then in Glencliff, we've got the right two lanes blocked by a crash 24 westbound. So that's both eastbound and westbound 24 for the same crash. And then the 24 westbound off-ramp to westbound I-440, right lane blocked there after a truck ran off into the trees. And in Jolton, got a crash reported, 24 westbound at Whites Creek Pike. The Department of Defense has accepted the plane. Details at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. You want to be where you
I love this song.
I love it too, man.
You want to be where everybody knows your name.
George Wendt died yesterday.
Yeah.
Norm. Love.
Everybody
Norm.
knew his name.
That's it. Oh, that was just, he was amazing. And saw several interviews with him where he talked about, they said, well, how did you play Norm? He goes, I just kind of played myself.
Yeah.
And he said that I didn't, if I didn't think the thing was going to be fun to work on, I wouldn't do it. That's why I didn't work a lot afterwards.
Yeah.
Said it was like a family.
How long was that show on again?
From 86 to 93.
Yeah.
And here's something that we will never see anymore. That show finished, I think, 96 the first year. And they kept it on. They kept it on. Where today, if you're sixth, they may get rid of you. That's just crazy.
Do you remember the last scene of the last episode?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was chilling.
Yeah.
I mean, he died on the day, 32 years ago that the final episode aired.
I know.
And at the end, it's just him and what's his name? Sam, yeah.
Yeah, just incredible. His nephew, by the way, is Jason Sudeikis.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's his nephew. So Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso, that's right.
On to scarier news. So there's a Panamanian island, a few of them, and they're having issues. Because you see the Catchboon monkeys, these monkeys over there.
Love those little monkeys.
Yeah, well, guess what? They like stealing things like other animals' babies.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow.
And they're doing it in abundance, and they've got Ring doorbell things and all these things set up all over, and they've been noticing they're stealing baby howler monkeys. Right? You're like, what? Yeah. And they've also said there is one who leads the pack. It's a nicknamed the Joker. It's a white-faced capuchin who's got a cut on his face. And they said scar right around his mouth, and he loves to go and steal all kinds of other animals' babies.
Weird.
Yeah.
What's he do with them?
Well, they don't know. They said, look, all the baby howlers they've stolen, they've died. They just stole them. Weird. And they said the reason they're doing this is they have zero predators on these little islands. So they're bored.
Interesting.
So they're putting themselves in the positions where they may get caught because it gives them some excitement. Good God. What's this world coming to?
That's interesting.
Damn monkeys everywhere. Yeah. Coming up, hour number 2 of the program. A lot of good stuff still to get to. More on the big, beautiful plane that's free. Oh, good. This is fantastic. Great. And there's also controversy about that has nothing to do with us receiving it. A bunch of other good stuff on the way. You missing these shows? Shame. Grab the podcast. Chad, that's a chew.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Storm damage assessments underway in Middle Tennessee. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, the Defense Department has accepted the Boeing 747 jet from Qatar that President Trump hopes to use as Air Force One, while Boeing continues working to modify 2 other planes for permanent presidential use. Here's ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell says in a statement that the DoD's acquisition of the Qatari 747 is in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. The Air Force now says it's preparing to award a contract to modify the jet to serve as a presidential aircraft. The details of that agreement, a spokesperson says, are classified.
Middle Tennesseans assessing the damage from yesterday's storms in Clarksville. A lot of people captured video of a rain-wrapped funnel cloud. Debbie Nunn of Clarksville speaking to Channel 4.
Crazy. It was just fast. It came out of nowhere. There was nothing on the radar. My husband was sitting on the front porch and had to make him come in, and the lines were arcing.
A lot of trees have been uprooted, debris strewn around yards there in various parts of Middle Tennessee. An update now on the hit-and-run crash Sunday that injured a man in Nashville with his family to celebrate his birthday. Police found the car at a Mount Juliet car rental facility. They're trying to determine who was driving it. Meanwhile, the victim's mother pleading for someone to come forward.
Nobody should ever go through that and then be left like a piece of garbage on the road just because someone didn't care enough to stop. Please help me bring justice for my son because he matters.
Now, Zachary Karish is recovering in the hospital from serious but non-life-threatening injuries. House Speaker Mike Johnson hopes the budget reconciliation package, which Republicans call that one big beautiful bill, will wind up on the House floor later today. President Trump reportedly warned congressional Republicans yesterday not to touch Medicaid, but Tennessee Congressman Scott Desjardins says Republicans do want to make sure able-bodied Americans work in order to get Medicaid.
And we have provisions if you're pregnant, you're not going to lose your benefits. If you're a young child, if you're disabled, if you're elderly, you're not going to lose your benefits.
Yeah, Desjardins speaking with Dan Mandis this morning. Desjardins says Republicans want to return safety net programs to those who truly need it. Turning to sports, NFL owners voted against a proposed ban on the tush push today. That's according to a person with knowledge of the decision. The proposed prohibition of the polarizing short yardage play failed by 2 votes to reach the required majority, 22-10 decision that will allow quarterbacks to continue to be aided by teammates when plunging into the line, basically line up behind their butts and push them into the end zone.
But. By the way, did you see they voted to allow the flag football in the Olympics?
Ah, cool.
Unanimously.
All right.
I'm going to go with the America's going to win that one.
Football. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
On stage tonight, gates open up. What was it? 6? Parking lot at 4, gates at 6.
Parking lot at 4, gates at, I want to say 6:30.
6:30.
Let me see.
Give you an extra half an hour to get hammered.
I got to get this right. Okay, yeah, you're right. Parking lot's at 4, gates open at 6, show starts at 7:30.
Woo! Let the party begin, everybody.
Oi!
Oi.
You are here. Listen to me scream loud.
Oi. Oi. Oh, man. They got an extra night here.
Yeah. Wonder what they did last night.
Napped.
I bet you they went to Lower Broad and got drunk.
I can't imagine having to be the tour manager to scramble to get all of their entire crew and the band extra accommodations for an evening in a tourist city like this.
Why? They just probably went over and, I saw Happy Days. You remember Happy Days when Johnny Fish and the Fish needed somewhere to stay? Where did they stay? Stayed at Richie Cunningham house. Why is that? Because when they were little, they went to a camp with him, and he knew he could keep a secret. So they probably called next door.
Are you trying to say that AC/DC stayed at Richie Cunningham's
No,
house?
they stayed at their version of Richie Cunningham. They called the Aussie next door, right? And said, hey, what are you guys doing? Does your wife mind if we come over and hang out?
Eat your food, clean out the fridge.
That's right.
By the way, we love Nine Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, it's a great show, yeah. Fantastic. Okay, but it's going to be a lot of fun there. You don't mind if we hang out with you guys for a night? Tell Nicole I said hi. Kiesel, you guys can't come over. Last time you did, we got in trouble. Remember when you stole that donkey? Yeah, that's not good. You would like to think they're like that anymore. I just have a feeling they all went to bed. I feel like they get in and they have people that come up and give them like pedicures and manicures, and they're wearing the big robes.
They probably have their own masseuse on tour with them.
I should hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking
Metallica does that.
I don't think I don't know if Brian Johnson. Well, I know Angus is a teetotaler.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if they all drink that much anymore.
But now, Malcolm and Bond did.
Yeah,
we know that.
We know Bond like a few.
Yeah, Malcolm did too. Because I remember when Brian says when he first went to audition for them, Malcolm comes up and offers him a beer.
Well, if you're going to do it, you better do it right. Yeah, if you're going to play our music, you better be hammered.
Yeah.
That's what I know about that one right there. I'll tell you that. Yeah, know what I'm saying? Guys, you want to have some fun? Let's do it. Okay, so this is earlier today. Jake Tapper. It's kind of weird seeing him on another network, which is called Morning Joe and MSNBC.
Is he pimping the book?
Huh?
Is he pimping the book?
He's pimping it hard. It's funny because Alex Thompson is not a TV guy, and thank God for Jake. So there's a reason there for this. But they asked him about that dreaded night.
I want to ask you about the debate because you were there. I remember. You have a closer look than anybody, you and Dana Bash, when this whole thing obviously cracked open and everything you're reporting in the book became undeniable to the public, not just to people behind the scenes. Your conversation with the president at the debate, you write about in the book. And then for both of you, what happened in the immediate aftermath? Like that?
So this is Willie Geist asking the question. And by the way, yes, Morning Joe was there, and his hair is getting bigger every day.
At night among Democrats and in the White House.
So I've now watched the debate on TV or on my computer because for the book, to write about write the book. And I will tell you that it was horrible on TV and it was worse in person. It was worse in person.
Worse in person. And it was pretty bad on TV. I mean,
he was just having a bad night.
Can we all admit that was pretty bad?
It's just a bad night. It was a one-off.
Yeah, it was bad. But being there in person, well,
it was disturbing. We have little iPads that we can use to write to the control room. I don't know why this isn't like something I have on my desk every day.
I want that.
I know, you should really get it. It's fantastic. It is fantastic, but they don't want to hear from us. I think that's what it is. That's why we don't all have iPads.
They just want you to rap.
But this wasn't exactly rap. So I wrote, like, when in that first answer where he said we finally beat Medicare, I wrote, because I didn't know who was in the control room, but I wrote holy smokes, because it was obvious that there was this was just historically bad.
Historically bad. Not kind of bad. The kind of historically bad where they're going to write about this in books.
The worst presidential debate performance in the history of presidential debate. Dana wrote a note to me saying he just lost the election. After the debate, he and First Lady Biden came down to where we were, and they didn't seem to have any idea of what just happened, or he didn't at least. And he apologized for having a cold. And he said, can you believe how much this guy lies about Donald Trump, who was probably in the air by then. He left immediately. It was so awkward. I didn't know what to say. I was trying to make small talk. I had Phillies cufflinks on, and I showed them to the First Lady because she's from Willow Grove. But I didn't know what to say. Then they laughed. He goes something like, I guess we'll go see what the commentators have to say. And then...
Let me tell you what they had to say. Wow! That was awful. Huh? That was the worst thing we've ever seen. What do you guys think about that? Anybody else?
I think that went well.
You think that went well? The Titanic. Hey, look, outside of the sinking, this thing was pretty smooth, right? Like, we were doing good.
went to our reception, not reception, but just like all the people that put the debate together. And we were watching all the shows, and this is in the book. The response from MSNBC I thought was really telling, because everybody was just shocked. Everybody had the same reaction you guys had the next morning, which was just like, I can't even believe this. What was that? This is a crisis. Democrats are freaking out, which made me feel like, okay, I didn't make that up.
No, you didn't make that up. Now, you ignored it for a long time, which was not a good thing, along with everybody else.
Oh, he didn't just ignore it. He made excuses for it.
He made some serious excuses for it. And I think the thing that is most telling and he's doing a mea culpa here, the best you can. You got to sell books. And he recognizes, and there's a difference. The people that are going to break stories like this are the people that are in and around the White House. He's not. He's in a studio guy. But you could have seen with your eyes what was going on. I mean, I joked yesterday, and I continue to joke, that Stevie Wonder could have saw how bad this was. Right? We all recognize how bad this was. But the media was already in a bad light. The media had struggled in a major way. And you had the right versus left in the media, which isn't very good, and it can be very ridiculous at times as everybody nitpicks. But, everybody tells their side of a story, and that's frustrating. You hear Ken and I bitch about that all the time. Got to look up 12 different articles to get the story and put it together. But the media lost itself in a way here that was something I don't think they realized, because while the excitement was there about this book and a lot of people talking about it, what's happening now is they're having their comeuppance in a serious way. And that once moral high ground of feeling like they were superior in all of this stuff has disappeared, as it should. Again, and I understand, like Alex Thompson, that guy that you don't hear him speak a lot, right? Because Jake is much better on that side of things. Alex, and he's not bad, but Alex, he went after him hard. And what happened? They stiff-armed him. They kept pushing him further away from the White House. Then they got the media to say, hey, they're coming after the president, and it's all baloney. It's right-wing talking points. He knew something was up because he was having people on the inside kind of feed him a few things here and there. But the eyeball test and everything else was tremendous. And anytime anybody inside the White House pool mentioned anything, they got blown out. And even yesterday, he was on with Katie Couric, and I was surprised. But Tapper, she was very forward in saying, hey, look, you went after Laura Trump pretty hard. And, you tried to push it off as it was this or it was that, and it wasn't. Right? Like it wasn't. It wasn't all the things you thought it was. And I thought to myself, man, that's pretty, he goes, it was my fault. That was my bad. Because remember what it was? She went and said, you could tell he's got a decline. There's a cognitive decline. And he's like, he's got a stutter. You failed. You failed in a major way. You had an opportunity. And why it matters, as I continue to tell, because I've been on a bunch of lefty shows and all kinds of stuff, this matters because the cover-up was not arguably the biggest cover-up and the biggest failure of the media in the I can't even tell you. In my lifetime, certainly. When people say, is this bigger than Watergate? For the media, it is. The difference with Watergate is the president did something wrong knowingly, and they figured it out. This president didn't know much, and the media knew there was things going on. They ignored it because of who the other guy was running. And they were complicit and in some cases played along with it. And same thing goes for the Democrats. The Democrats are, the reckoning coming with the Democrats is, I think, going to be huge. And here's the problem, though. You got the Republicans, right? I mean, at what point in time do they jack the pooch at something stupid and ridiculous? I mean, come on. I mean, I'm waiting.
Well, their mistakes are forgivable, Chad. Because they're the good guys.
Everybody's the good guys. No. None of their mistakes are forgivable. And the Republicans have an opportunity here, if they get their heads out their butts and they do this right, to not only grab a large swath of America in a way that even, where people who aren't fans of everything Trump does held their nose when they voted for Trump, because those are the people that got Trump over the line. All that being said, if you do this right, man, you can hold on to power for quite a while. But that's a big if. That is a very big if, because we've seen both sides. When you look like they're going to cross the line first, they trip themselves up. And that happens a lot. But the Democrats, what do you even, even today, they watching, and I'll see if I can find it. I pulled some audio from Morning Joe because Mark Halpern had him on and said, all right, so better than he's ever been. You're going to want to mark my words, start the tape rolling. He tried to play his way out of that. And you can't, dude. You can't. You can't play your way out of that. That was an E3 in baseball terms. And a little baseball terms every now and then. Yes, I go to games every once in a great while. With this past weekend, got sunburned really bad. That was not a good thing by me. Somebody asked me what neo-pronouns. We were playing some pronoun stuff last hour. They're phenomenal. If you don't know what pronouns are, let me tell you what a neo-pronoun is. Do you guys even know what a neo-pronoun is?
Have no idea.
It is an alternative pronoun, often used to express gender identity that are not traditionally recognized in a language and usually used by people who are insane. No, I threw that in. But that's what it is. So not recognized in a language. So there you guys go. If you want to know what a pronoun is. God, they're even messing with English. Jiminy cricket. Ho-ho. So much stuff still to get to. I want to talk a little bit about the big plane. The big, beautiful plane. My bill's on the big, beautiful plane, right, guys? The Golden Dome and the Golden Plane. Do you guys know what Trump's favorite color is? Anybody? Did you say gold? The golden thing is very interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. What's the cost of that? The big, beautiful bill? The cost is a lot. The cost is a lot. And here's the bigger thing. Finding out what's real, what's not real is also a big deal inside of these things because you never know what it's going to look like. And Matt and I talked about that yesterday. That's why it's hard talking about stuff. One thing I do know, based on everything I see, it doesn't matter what passes, it's going to be way more expensive than they're telling us because it's government. Talk a bit about that. We got more crazy sounds. Oh, yeah, baby. A lot more crazy sounds. Some Gen Z, Gen X stuff on the way as well. If you miss any of the show, what do we say, Belle? Tell everybody what we say.
Shame.
Birch gold. Why? Because uncertainty, worry in the economy. Could the R word be popping up? You've got the Rio reset. They want to get off the dollar, a lot of these BRICS nations. And oh my goodness, could you see a collapsing of that? What would happen there? That's where gold comes in. I want you to text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold. They're going to get you out an info kit and show you why precious metals and gold is so important. They're my company. They're who I buy gold from. And it is a smart thing to do. I've done it since I was a youngster. It is just a smart thing to have gold. Why? Because times of inflation, times when maybe the market is unsteady, geopolitical issues. If things go south, gold goes up, and it's a great thing to have. So what are you waiting for? It's a free info kit, no hard pressure for my friends over at Birch, AAA rated by the Better Business Bureau, or A+ rated. Just text the word Benson to 989898 today. Find out what they can do for you and how to protect yourself. All the things you work for, all the things you built, and all the things you're hoping for in the future. Text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold.
All right, drivers, got a crash 24 westbound at Bell Road. Then the right lane blocked 24 westbound at the Antioch Pike overpass. The United States has officially accepted a luxury jet to use as Air Force One from Qatar. And the Justice Department dismissing the federal lawsuit against the Memphis Police Department and seeking to do the same in Minneapolis and Louisville. These stories and more at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm very excited about the Golden Dome because it's pretend, at least for now. And it's interesting, right? The whole thought of this thing is interesting, because it came all the way back into the 80s, the thought process that Reagan was going to do Star Wars, and maybe he did, maybe he didn't, I don't know. But here's one thing I do know. I don't know what the cost is going to be, but it's going to take a while. And we're not even ready for some of the stuff that we need to get this thing ready. So that doesn't mean that can't happen. But unfortunately, because of the length of it, we could start building it today. And if the Republicans don't win, then they could stop it immediately. And then we'd have not even a Golden Dome. We just have something.
President Trump has long praised Israel's Iron Dome, which can intercept and destroy short-range rockets, missiles, and drones. The Golden Dome would consist of a network of sensors and satellites for tracking missiles, along with attacking satellites that can shoot down missiles soon after they're fired. The defense secretary says the system will take shape in phases, prioritizing defense where threats are greatest. President Trump claims the Golden Dome should be fully operational in 3 years.
I'm going to say no. Some of the guys that are like, this is what they do for a living when it comes to, hey, this is kind of what I do. There's no chance that we're getting this thing done in 3 years. No chance. As Steve Gainier puts it.
Right now, the U.S. has no capability to have on-orbit interceptors. So that is some Buck Rogers stuff that's going to need tens of billions of dollars and years to develop. So it's a good idea. It's going to take a long time. It'll be a question whether if there's an eventual Democratic president, that's where they want to put their money. But for now, this is what President Trump wants. It doesn't mean the technology's there.
The technology, though, will improve with AI. And the winner of this wins everything. That's why it's so important. Because if you win this, you can shrink. The military is going to shrink anyways. It is. The military is going to shrink because what's going to grow is the robots. What's going to grow is the AI technology. And that's the arms race that matters now. All the other stuff, you hear them going, we're beating our estimates and we're getting more people joining the military. That's great. But what's coming is, if you guys didn't watch this past weekend, 60 Minutes had this guy on who you think would be straight out of a Adam Sandler movie. He's got a soul patch. He kind of dresses like me. He's got a mullet. He's building a billions and trillions of dollars of what is going to be the arms race that America is going to win. And let me tell you something, humans aren't involved in it. They're not. And so you're going to need guys like him and SpaceX, obviously. You need that stuff for sure, because you win this, that's it. Could you imagine if we were able to win this, which I think we will? What happens then? We are completely unstoppable. Only truly from within will we collapse. If China knows they could fire everything at it, and yes, some stuff will get through, but it'll be minuscule compared to what we can do for them, and they couldn't stop us, game over. Absolutely game over for everybody. And China can't beat us anyways. But the difference between 70% of our country destroyed and 100% of them is 7% of our country and 100% of them. Peace through strength. That's what this looks like. And it's golden, of course, because they got an iron one and we need a golden one because gold's better than iron. Oh, my Lord. AI robots. That's right. Trump's Golden Dome can be likened to Reagan. So, yeah, busting Star Wars. I have always thought that he kind of got something done with Star Wars. Wasn't sure, right? But just the thought of it terrified the Soviets because they knew they couldn't keep up with us.
Well, and he actually, that summit that he and Gorbachev had that they considered a failure because Gorbachev was so terrified of Star Wars that he wanted assurances from Reagan that we would not implement it ever, and Reagan was like, "I'm not going to promise you that."
Yeah, because once you have a defense like that, it is done. I mean, can you imagine what that looks like if you're so let's just say you're sitting in China and you think, oh gosh, we got to do something, and you find out you shoot a couple of your missiles off and they get destroyed immediately, and you realize that you've started something that you can't defend now. That's a game changer. And that's why Gorbachev, like I said, they were all terrified. Because as great as the offense is, everybody's got offense. It's the defense that will win this championship. Oh, look at that little sports.
Yes, sir.
Little sports analogy there. Coming up, got more crazy audio. Because I like crazy audio. And we got crazy audio for you because that's what we do here, including a woman who's celebrating not having children by sterilizing herself. Because why? Because she's insane. Because that's what happens in this world today. It's Chad Benson Show. Super Top 997.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. The United States has officially accepted a luxury jet to use as Air Force One from Qatar. Department of Defense saying today it'll work to ensure proper security measures and functional mission requirements are considered for the Boeing 747 to take the President of the United States around the world. The Air Force would be taking the lead and will award a contract to modify the jet, but details of that contract are going to be classified. The Justice Department today dismissing the lawsuit against the Memphis Police Department after the beating death of Tyree Nichols. It's seeking to do the same in Minneapolis and Louisville in the wake of the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Department of Justice spokesperson says the lawsuits seek to strip local control of policing that belongs in the community and would allow anti-police bureaucrats too much power. Google's annual developer conference is underway in Mountain View, California. ABC's Mike Dabusky says artificial intelligence, the major theme.
Google's developer conference, I.O., was all about AI this year.
Really integrating it into more of the products that everyone knows and loves from Google.
Robert Ferreira is a Google Trends expert. He says that includes Google Search, and specifically its AI mode.
The difference here is that you can ask follow-up questions in a conversational way.
But generative AI like this regularly hallucinates.
It has some of these vulnerabilities, but I think it's about how we've managed to improve that.
Mike Dabusky, ABC News.
Here in Tennessee, one of the hardest hit areas from yesterday's storms, the Blackman Road area of Murfreesboro. McKenna Smotherman telling News 2 her dog alerted her family with frantic barking. That's when they got into their safe space. Then right after that, a tree fell through the roof.
Thank God that everybody is okay and nobody got hurt. And that we were, still able to get into the house and get the dog and just, thank goodness for the dog.
In Clarksville, a funnel cloud was spotted. National Weather Service going to make the call on whether it was an actual tornado. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
A few more clouds mix in tomorrow, maybe a little sprinkle. 10 seconds. Most, if not all of us, stay dry. We're in the 70s, 60s, and 70s on Friday with plenty of sunshine, but get ready if you have plans for the holiday weekend. Rain will move in on Saturday and continue Sunday and into Monday.
Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They got a lot of things going on. They got rebates still extended out there. They've got a ton of good stuff, including getting your AC tune-ups right now. $50 rebate there, $50 rebate. So you do it twice, maybe the fall, spring, see how that goes. Guess what happens? They'll take care of the rebates for you, and that pays for your Busy Bee Beehive membership. But on top of that, they got a big thing coming up soon. It is May 31st. It's from 10 till 2, and it is their big hiring fair. So come on out there. They're going to, if you've got any experience, right? So service, install, HVAC or plumbing, they want to talk to you. Pay range for these, the more experienced, $30 to $39 an hour. Healthcare benefits, 2 weeks, paid time off, office closed, federal holidays, and you get your day off on your birthday, and so much more. If you're a recent graduate, Come on down. They want to talk to you as well. So welcoming you to the trades. And they're amazing. They're incredible. Bring your family. Come out and visit. It's the 31st, 10 till 2. If you want to know any information or you got some issues with your plumbing and heating, call Busy Bee today, 775-7833, 775-7833, or online at busybehvac.com. Oh. Crazy audio is always fun on these kind of days. I live for crazy audio. Makes me laugh. We're going to start here, first and foremost, with the younger generation who's still trying to figure stuff out. They don't really know a lot of what's going on in life. This is bizarre. This is a young woman who's doing us all a favor. By the way, there's a very big movement afoot with this No More Humans. We saw that wackadoo over the weekend. It blew himself up in Palm Springs. And this woman, well, she's not going that far, but she's doing us all a favor.
Tomorrow, I'm getting permanently sterilized by having my fallopian tubes removed, so I decided to throw a little celebration for that and to celebrate the fact I've made the choice to not have kids. Women tend to only be celebrated when they get engaged, get married, or have a baby, and it's rare to see them celebrated as individuals for their accomplishments outside of the family. So it was really important to me to make sure that I dedicated time and space to celebrate myself and this life-changing decision that I'm making, and I'm so excited about it.
You never really had to worry about getting pregnant, ma'am. And I like how you did it with cake. What is up with this? Like, who's that for? Honestly. Like, why are you doing that?
Well, she's got a virtue signal, man.
She's celebrating herself and how wonderful she is to the world, right? Like, how wonderful you are to the world. I'm going to celebrate us and me saving you from that. That person is a voter. I just want everybody to understand that. More crazy.
When y'all are saying that y'all used to drink from the hose, were sinks not an option?
Who's going to tell him? You want me to tell him? I'll tell him. We weren't allowed in the house. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. Our childhood was like one never-ending episode of that TV show Survivor, okay? We are indestructible. We've never sat in car seats. Nobody's ever given us swimming lessons. We've all been either shot with a BB gun or stabbed with a jart.
Oh, you guys remember the jarts?
Loved the jarts.
So if you guys don't know what those are, what are you thinking? By the way, she's talking about Gen X. Let me tell you something about jarts. So somebody back in the day was sitting around a table. They were probably all smoking a cigarette inside of a room.
Yeah.
And they said to themselves, you guys remember that game Tic-Tac-Toe? They're like, yeah. How about we play it with spears?
Yeah.
With mini spears. That sounds great. And then you think, oh, they were kidding. No, then they marketed it and sold it to people who never once actually played the game, but instead played things like, all right, Ken, you stand there, and I'm going to stand here. I'm going to throw it as high as I can, and if you move, oh, you're a wussy.
No, I'm not. I'll show you.
And then what happened? You get it in the foot. That's what you would get.
Cool, man.
That's right. And you know what? They didn't take it off TV for a long time. I got that and a Mr. Microphone for my Christmas one day.
We'll be back to pick you up later.
Absolutely, we will. Right? There was no sexism in that thing. Hey, what's up, knockers? We'll be right back. Oh, there's more.
The television stations had to make a commercial reminding our parents that they had kids. I you not. Every night on the 10 p.m. news, a voice would come on and say, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? To remind our parents that they had kids. So, no, sir, shirtless with the beanie.
Were sinks not an option?
Sinks were not an option.
Not an option. I drank out, I don't know how many times I won a bet where somebody said, I bet you won't drink out of the gutter. Bet you I will. I'll do it right here. And yeah, the hose thing. How many of you guys, let's reminisce a little bit. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine. It's a hot summer day. You're riding your bike with your friends. You guys are all thirsty. You pull up to a house that you have no idea. You've passed it 1,000 times. You don't know who lives there. You go over to the hose. And remember, in the winter, the hose, you can't straighten it. In the summer, it melts because it's made of bizarre plastic. But you forget, and you're the first one to take a drink, and you don't let the water come out and cool down, and you burn yourself. But did you bitch? You did not. And you know what we need? A president. A Gen X president.
Anybody else think it's really kind of weird that we never got a Generation X president?
Have you met us? You don't want a Gen X president. You don't want us in charge of jack shit. Can you imagine a Gen X president coming in just fucking scorched earth on everything? The younger generations would shit their pants. They would be crying in the streets. They'd form like a protest, block the street to make a point. We'd run them over. What would our campaign slogan be? Like, around and find out, 2028?
There's really not even that many of them in Congress or the Senate.
Nobody likes us. Who would vote for us? We don't even follow rules at our real jobs. We still eat cereal for dinner like 3 times a week. You don't want us in charge of the country because we don't give a
The generation that gave us Rage Against the Machine.
Do you remember like any like the lyrics to Rage Against the Machine that we brought you? Like,
I won't do what you tell me. I won't do what you tell me. And it's just like, what happened to this generation? Did you all just like stay out of politics?
We've been in charge of so long we are exhausted. We are done. Our brains are done. Y'all can it up. Have fun. We're just gonna get old and die. Leave us alone.
Amen.
Amen, man.
And if there is one shot at a Gen X president, and I'll say this, it's Marco Rubio.
Yes, sir.
Marco Rubio is awesome. And I will tell you this. Rush Limbaugh said it back in the day. Marco Rubio is going to be president one day. Marco Rubio, the second most important job in D.C., in politics, in federal politics side of things, is Secretary of State. Vice president it's a placeholder. It does a little bit more than they used to, but outside of that one day, you don't hear a lot from J.D. Vance. He does some traveling. He does some stuff. But Marco is that job, the Secretary of State, is the second most important job because of what you're tasked with. And the realistically, I mean, they turn you loose and you go and you are doing globally essentially what's best for America and carrying out the ideas of the president. And that guy's awesome. He is. He'd be the smallest president, I think, since I'm not quite. It's been a while since we had it under. I think Bush was 5'11 and a half. That was eking by there, right? So, but he's brilliant. But we don't have a lot of the Gen. You know why? Because we don't care. We gave up a long time ago. But why are we great? I'll tell you why. Because we created a lot of stuff that's crazy awesome. And we still remember the days when boredom was the only toy we had.
Yep.
And we need to let kids get bored nowadays. We don't. Man, I'll tell you that. I tried to take our little, the computer and stuff away with Charlie. Charlie has all of my kids have a mental clock where they're done. Like, okay, I can do this for a little while, and then I want to go play, and I want to go ride my bike, and I want to go around and do stuff. But there are a lot of kids out there that don't. And it's, oof. But boredom used to be, like, that was how that's where critical thinking came in.
That and imagination.
Yeah, because you were bored. You had to come up with stuff. How many games did you make up at school?
Oh, yeah.
Where you had to be the referee. You're also the creator. You're the GM. You're building your team. You're playing. You have to do all of these things. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And we've taken that away.
I had an entire baseball league in my head that I wrote stats down and kept records of teams. And it was just me throwing a tennis ball up against I started out throwing a baseball against our house, and Mom stopped me from that because I was cracking the bricks.
Yeah.
So I had to move to a tennis ball.
Yeah.
But I found the tennis ball. I could throw a curve better with a tennis ball than a baseball.
Which was not good for your arm, by the way.
No, it's
but
not.
like we had a Nerf. We played Nerf ball. So we had a wiffle ball bat, and we had remember those little itty bitty Nerf balls that you could buy with the little hoop nets, and we put some tape around it, and we had a full league with we wrote out stats, but then my buddy got a computer, so it was really big, and we had a full league. We knew the rules, the games. You'd have to come over on specific days to play. It was great. We don't do that with kids anymore. No, and that's a sad thing. It is. We need more of that. More of that, not less, kids. Here's some fun stuff. Does anybody know this lady? Her name is Whoopi Goldberg. Here she's on TV. She was on yesterday at The View, and I just found this fascinating about, still in denial.
So should anonymous sources who talked to Tapper have spoken up about their concerns while he was in office, while he was still in office? And my other question is, why is this important to know now?
Yeah, well, that's what some people want to know.
It just seems to me, we got a lot of stuff to be concerned about at the moment. So I listen.
The reason it's important to know now is because there was one of our political groups lied tremendously about what was going on in the White House, and the media ignored and or covered it up. It's important to know that. As far as Biden goes, that, he's got to deal with his own health problems, hate him, love him, whatever, wish him the best. It has nothing to do with him. Let's take that off the table. This has to do with all of the other cover-ups and the lies. And when you're trying to build some sort of hey, we need to build trust up again. We need to strengthen who we are as a country, as a unit. If you're the Democrats and the media, you have failed. And the more that's coming out in this book, and by the way, there's few other ones who are people that worked in the White House who are going to have their stuff come out. It's going to be just as damning from being inside of there, because there's safety in numbers. And now that they see that this book is sold and there's lots of buzz around it, of course there's going to be tons. And those are the things you want to know from the inside. Well, why didn't people say something? You're 27 years old. Your goal is to work in politics. And you're looking around, or you're 23, because some of these kids are so young. You're in a room. You know what you need to be? You need to be in the room, and you need to also not be there. The only person you should hear in that room is whatever your immediate boss says to you. And you're terrified, and who's going to believe you anyways? Not many people. Not many people. And so you keep your mouth shut. And I watched a show a couple weeks ago. It's called The Residence, and it's a really interesting show. It's a show on Netflix. It's like an 8-part series about this lady who uncovers a murder. It's a comedy. It's got all these great stars in it, and it has to do with the staff inside of the White House. Part of it, And they talk about being inside the room when high-level things are going on, making sure people have their food and getting served things, and at the same time, not being there and hearing virtually nothing that's happening inside of there. So it's being seen, but also being ignored. And that's what you have to be. And that's why people don't believe. But it's important, Whoopi, because, yes, all the other stuff, the big, beautiful bill, all this other stuff, that's great. We need to talk about that. But people lied. People lied. And when you scream about the fear of democracy and it dying in darkness, et cetera, and you had people that wouldn't report the truth, who wouldn't put it out there, and even though some of them knew the truth, actively ignored it because the fear of the guy on the other side, you know what? That's why we need to know. That's why. And if the Republicans play their cards right and they're honest with people, despite what they may not want to hear, guess what? You get respect and you get votes. At some point in time, as we say, Bell and I always say, they'll jack the pooch. So don't worry about that. Coming up, who knows what we'll talk about? We got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Target slowing down. Target's moving the target. That's not a good thing. We'll talk about that, among other things. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk, 99.7. All right, guys, let's talk about this. Rough Greens. RUFFgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369. It is a supplement that my buddy, Dr. Dennis Black, naturopathic doctor, put together, formulated for dogs to keep them healthy. Now, your dog food lacks in everything because dog food is dead food. This is going to add to your dog's food. Even stuff that's supposed to be uber super fresh isn't what you think it is. This is going to help your dog's food. It's going to give it the nutrients. It's going to get the vitamins and things that are missing. It's going to help your dog be healthier, happier, and they're going to love the taste, and you're going to love so many things. But the vet, you don't want to go to the vet anymore. This is going to help you with that. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. It's going to cost you shipping. That's it. It's $20 value. All it's going to cost you is that. Go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. Use my code Chad. It's a $20 value, absolutely free. You cover the cost of shipping. ruffgreens.com/Chad.
All right, Clarksville, TDOT reporting a crash blocking the right lane, 24 north near the Sango Road overpass. That's going to be 24 eastbound near the Sango Road overpass. In Rural Hill, looks like Nashville police reporting a crash 24 westbound at Bell Road, then 24 westbound at the Antioch Pike overpass. The Justice Department dismissing the lawsuit and retracting findings of alleged constitutional violations within the Memphis Police Department. And the United States has officially accepted the plane. We'll tell you about it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Gay Pride Month seems a little greedy. 4 weeks in a row, we get Veterans Day. You fight for the country, you get a day. Thank you for fighting for the country. Oh, sorry, day's over. Take the meat off the barbecue. Memorial Weekend, you die for the country, they give you a weekend. Thank you for dying for the country. Take the boat out of the lake, put it on. Take the boat out of the lake, put it on the truck. You get a weekend. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, kept the Union together. Gets a day. Not even his own day. He's got to share it with George Washington, who founded the whole f***ing country. He doesn't get a day either. He's got to share it with Lincoln.
That's right. I mean, you think about that. You think about all that people have sacrificed, all the things people have done, and it's not like we have Veterans Month, okay? We have Pride Month. Well, you give enough letters into an alphabet, you're going to get everybody to neo-pronouns, pretend pronouns, pretenditis, pretenda. I mean, all the stuff that you have. The trans. By the way, I'd let you guys know I solved the trans sports issue today when it comes to team sports. I was on with the chicks on the right, and we were talking about that girl who came in second in the CIAF long jump. She jumped up on the winners, and the place went crazy, even in California. And I said, well, in sports, team sports, we can do this. So you're playing a team, and the other team has a trans athlete. And let's remember which way this is. We never talk about Linda became Larry, and now the boys just can't beat him. Right? That's never happens. So this is what you do. I'm coaching a soccer team. Oh, they've got a guy on the team that's a girl, that's a guy, this guy, girl, identifying. Okay. I go over to the boys soccer team, and I say, hey, Ken, you're a little female presenting today. I'd like you to come on over here and play center forward because, all of a sudden, feels a little, well, that's not fair. Why isn't it fair? Why isn't it fair? Now, if you're going to go full Monty, knock yourself out. I give you that one. But that's not happening here. So I solved the issue today. You guys are welcome. So let you know that. A full month. Whew. Tell you what, my producer for my national show, not Bell, my other producer, he's gay. And he's like, we don't need a full month. We don't need anything. Okay? We don't.
That's just hateful, Chad.
Yeah, well, he's a regular gay guy. That's what he said. I'm just a dude. All right? That's it. Okay.
So he's hating himself?
Yeah, he did. He just thinks it's stupid. He thinks it's all. He goes, by the way, none of this is for us anymore. Right? None of this is. Go to a pride parade. None of that is for the average gay guy. Right? Like that's not for any. That's for some special group of people who want to be looked at all the time. That's who that is.
Yeah. I know plenty of just regular gay people. And you might not even know they're gay.
Yeah. And they don't want it. They want nothing, any of that stuff. They don't want any of that stuff. One of my best friends, besides my producer, runs a major station in this country. He's gay. And he and I, first of all, my wife laughs because he will send me some of the most off-color, horrific things all the time. And he says to me one day, he goes, dude, if anything ever happens to me, you need to come over to my house. You need to destroy all of my computers. And then you need to go to my work and destroy all of my computers because that's what friends do.
Smash them with a hammer, then take a giant magnet and run it over all the hard drives.
Yeah. He goes, whatever Hillary did, you do that. But he thinks it's stupid, too. He thinks this whole thing is stupid. He thinks it's ridiculous, and he thinks it's been hijacked by a bunch of people who do not have other people's best interest in mind, only about creating conflict and making money, which is true. Coming up, hour number 2 of the program, or 3. Oh, my God, we're already in hour 3? I'll tell you what, soccer's going to be on, so I'm going to try to watch most of it and probably every once in a while chime in. But I'm excited for hour number 3 because there's stuff like we're going to talk about and whatnot. Chet Mencio, Super Talk 99.7.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, the Tennessean says the Department of Justice has dismissed its investigation into the Memphis Police Department and retracted findings of constitutional violations that came after the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Department of Justice also seeking to dismiss similar lawsuits and agreements in Louisville and Minneapolis after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Alex Malin says Department of Justice claims these agreements amount to federal overreach, giving anti-police bureaucrats too much power over local control of policing that should stay in the communities.
They do not see it as a priority to engage in these consent decrees where often you have, civil rights divisions attorneys spending hundreds of hours monitoring and continuing to monitor police departments who initiate basically training in order to fix the problems that have been identified in these investigations. They think that that is kind of an unnecessary burden, that states can do that at the local levels themselves.
The United States has officially accepted a luxury jet to use as Air Force One from Qatar. The Department of Defense says it'll work to ensure proper security measures, functional mission requirements considered for the Boeing 747 to take the President of the United States around the world. The Air Force would be taking the lead and will award a contract to modify the jet, but details of that contract will be classified. President Trump meeting with the president of South Africa today at the White House and accused the South African government of allowing for the killing of white South African farmers.
A lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on.
Trump administration's fast-tracked refugee status for these South Africans, but the South African government and other observers claim no such genocide exists. Damage from yesterday's storms being assessed in Middle Tennessee. This Clarksville woman telling Channel 4 the sky turned green, the wind picked up, and she and her one-year-old hopped into the bathtub to ride out the storm, then emerged to see damage.
We just have trees, and most of them are not even our trees. So we just have to get it out of our yard. Our house is good.
Her friends came over with chainsaws to help clear the debris. 13 years to the day after a suburban Dallas convenience store clerk was set on fire during a robbery, the man who committed the horrific murder was put to death. Nancy Harris followed the orders of the man who was robbing her store on May 20th, 2012, and yet Matthew Lee Johnson still doused the 76-year-old with lighter fluid, set her ablaze before calmly walking out. At his trial, this is what Johnson said.
I feel like a coward. I don't feel like a man at all.
Well, last night, Johnson asked Nancy Harris's family for forgiveness before a lethal dose of the sedative pentobarbital was pumped into his veins. Indiana executed a death row inmate, too. Benjamin Donnie Ritchie had been convicted in the killing of a police officer in September of 2000. He tried to claim he was bipolar, but he was put to death after midnight. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Did you see the guy from South Africa? He's like, sorry, Mr. President, I don't have a plane for you. Oh, that is funny. He's got his new plane. Now, did you see the latest? That they didn't offer it. He asked for it. That's the latest one.
Did he?
That's what they're saying. Right. They're saying that they didn't offer it to him. He asked for it. He's probably like, you're not going to sell that thing, not for that price. Why don't you give it to me and we'll write it off on your taxes?
On the taxes you don't pay us.
Oh my God, it'll be hilarious. Yeah, the South African.
Is there going to be a tariff on that plane?
Yeah, and what it's really, honestly, okay, I want to point this out to you guys. We don't need it. We shouldn't have gotten it. The best thing he could have done is go, you know what? We're going to turn this into a plane that can help deliver food to people throughout Africa or something like that. Because the amount of time it's going to take to even get this thing ready it's going to be virtually impossible, and he's not going to be able to use it. He isn't. I mean, and several of you have already said, yeah, I don't really trust that plane, even if they go retrofit it. And this is, whoever the company has, that's the other thing that I find, who got the award to retrofit it? A company. Really? Yeah. What are they getting paid? It's classified. Okay. Don Jr.'s company? Just curious.
A lot of people are very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on.
No, we don't. We don't. We haven't taken people from Yemen. Sudan is a nightmare. By the way, South Sudan and Sudan, the amount of genocide and chaos that's going on in some of these places, we don't take. Let's be real. That's not true. So, you've got to take people that you think are going to integrate into society. I understand that. We can't take everybody. That's a reality too. I know we can't take the whole world. Overnight, we could go to 1 billion people like that. Can't happen. Let's be real. That being said, I'm not quite sure. It's like there's this massive tens of millions of people. This happened in Zimbabwe. There's been clashes. Think about this, right? We can sit here and we could talk about, people whine about race here, people whine about stuff like that. This is a nation that apartheid existed in my lifetime. And it still in weird ways kind of does. One of my favorite songs as a kid growing up was a song called Free Nelson Mandela. I'm begging you, free. This was a nation that had serious issues.
That's what got him released, was that song.
Yeah, by the Specials sauce, or Specials 2.0, because it wasn't really the originals. But this was a nation that, and still is, a vast majority of the nation is black. 7% is white. They own about 90% of the land. Think about that. That's insane. So there's lots of issues over there, but do we need to make it a big deal? And there's only 59 of them that came here. I saw Marco Rubio talking about it yesterday. But do I think that they're all getting slaughtered? No, because they understand that should those kind of things happen and the police and everything does step in, Europe has a much closer tie to South Africa than we do.
Have they told you where that is, Mr. President? No, I'd like to know where that is, because this I've never seen.
Okay. I mean, it's in South Africa. That's where.
That's pretty. It's over here. It's right over there. Somebody said, Chad, just come out and say it. You lied to them to get this job. You're really a liberal. No, I'm not. I'm honest.
That's Ray.
Is it Ray's? Ray, why do you think I'm a liberal? Because I don't buy into crap? Let me tell you something. Europe has been decimated by colonists and stuff. Europe has been destroyed by right now. Russia and China are really into getting into Europe to Africa, because they got a lot of stuff over there that a lot of us want. A lot of damage. But South Africa was a nightmare when I was a kid. It's a nightmare now. It's a dangerous place in a lot of areas. And, this feels like it's a bit of a grandstanding kind of thing. And I just think we need to do it. I don't. And like I said, Europe's tie to South Africa, the Dutch, the Belgians throughout there is much stronger than like when they speak Afrikaans. A lot of that is got the Dutch flavor to it. A lot of these people coming over got Dutch names. They have a Dutch accent. So just do I think that we needed to do this? No, it made a deal, and we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of white genocide. But we'll see if there is, genocide. But we're not, I mean, again, let's be real. What's going on in a lot of places, we're not taking everybody because we can't. Even people that are running in places where their homes have disappeared completely, we can't take them. Because at some point in time, not only is it about, is it good for us, but also, is it even feasible financially? Because we got problems here when it comes to finances. I don't know if you're aware of that. Speaking of that, and finances and problems, it's come out that there was some issues with Joe Biden. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I hadn't heard this. Apparently he's got cancer, and he caught it right January 21st is when I think he caught it, or like 10 years ago. But the mental side of things is what people ignored because nobody knew about the cancer. And Alex Thompson, who's the guy who really did all the heavy lifting on the new book out, that Jake Tapper and him are out there. He was the one who worked for Axios, was talking about something that is in the book, but nobody's talking about it really. They tried to do a commercial shoot that was a town hall.
And Alex, the fact of the fake town hall is not actually the worst part of the story that you report in the book.
Yes, other campaigns have used fake town halls. Now, I would say those town halls usually are in addition to real town halls. Joe Biden was doing neither. This fake town hall was in order to film it so they could make it into campaign commercials. They filmed it in Delaware with supporters. But Joe Biden at this point, this is the spring of 2024, Joe Biden's town hall was so bad that campaign officials determined that it was not usable for a campaign commercial.
How bad does it have to be for you to invite people that are friendly to you to make a commercial where they're going to ask you questions that you've probably pre-read because your team worked on it, and they're spinning it at a town hall, and they do this all the time because they're trying to get commercials out of it, right? Like this is not something that is new. But you're going to treat it like a town hall. You're going to answer all the questions and wave. And then they do that thing where at the end, I'm Joe Biden and I approve of this message. They couldn't do it because there was issues with it.
So they took 90 minutes, 2 hours out of the president's day. They filmed an entire town hall, and they determined that it was not usable. Now, some people say this was because Joe Biden was incoherent. He could not really articulate his thoughts in a pithy or even semi-normal way. Some people just said, like, the lighting was bad. That was sort of the 2 points of view. But the point is it shows, like, what the campaign status was in the spring of 2024 when they were trying to, deal with a candidate that wasn't a decline.
Hey. We're looking in here, and the lighting sucks, Bell, and you don't get the lighting right, Bell, and the microphone doesn't work, Bell.
You made us waste $1 million of our campaign funds.
Bell, none of this stuff works, Bell. The fact that you're incoherent, the fact that you don't know where you are, the fact that you're wandering around the stage aimlessly, answering questions to somebody who didn't ask you a question, that had nothing to do with it. Even our good buddy, Lonely Scott Jennings at CNN said, wait, what?
Wait, someone told you the lighting was bad?
That's one of the excuses.
You're saying that they spent millions of dollars to stage a town hall? Well, we didn't get the lighting right.
That was one of the excuses.
I mean,
unbelievable.
And this comes back to the question of how many people were aware of things like that?
I would like to know that. Because the last 18 months, they really went and kind of circled the wagons and closed off that circle. I had a friend in the White House, acquaintance, who would feed me stuff every once in a while, and he told me about almost 2 years ago, he said, look, it's bad, dude. He goes, he wanders the house aimlessly, sometimes asking when he gets to go home. And we have to explain to him when we take him back, this is your home, you're at the White House. I talked about that on the air when I was in Arizona, and I got pulled into the office and basically read the riot act. How dare I do that? How dare I lie? How dare I make stuff up like that? And lo and behold, whoa. Yeah. Because nobody wanted to hear it. And there are serious questions to be asked. And this has nothing to do with Biden at this point. This has nothing to do with the sickness. It has nothing to do with this. This has questions about his family. There's no doubt about that. There's some serious questions about his family, Mark Halpern.
I think one of the biggest mistakes, maybe the biggest through line of all for the way Bidens have been covered, is the Bidens, it is regularly said, are a good family. They're decent people. And I'm not here to tell you they're worse than the Trumps or worse than Nixon, but I'm here to tell you that the mythology that the Bidens are good people who don't lie is not borne out by the facts, and that's increasingly front and center in sharp relief this week.
Think about that. That's true. I mean, look, everybody in D.C.'s got their hand out. They got their hand in somebody's pocket and their hand out. So many, you go there and you start to recognize the really good men and women. They're few and far between, and they're mostly ostracized, and they don't get the pub in the press because that's a lot of what this is. Everybody. I would love to see all of them wear those racing suits like Formula One and NASCAR, where they have to have all of their lobbyists on there so we can see who, what, when, how, and why when it comes to who's getting paid. But Biden was as guilty as anybody. But it's the way he said things, because we care about the way that you make us feel when it comes to words, not what you do in reality.
We know that they didn't tell the truth about Biden Inc. We know that. And we know the president in the debate in 2020 against Donald Trump did not tell the truth when asked about Hunter's business. I'm not here again to tell you that Joe Biden is a bigger liar by some metrics than Donald Trump. What I am here to tell you, again, is this has been a horrible mistake on the part of the media to treat the Bidens like they walk on water.
And they don't. And they don't. And Jake Tapper, maybe we'll play that in a little bit. They asked him about Hunter Biden, and he had some, should we say this, not nice words to say about Hunter. What? And, oh boy, did he. Ha ha. Just, there's a lot of this. The cover-up is massive. You covered up. And by omitting and by ignoring, that is as much a cover-up as anything else. Like, you know, if I was on, you know, you're sitting here and you're cross-examining me on something I saw, and you never asked me a specific question, like, did Bell do this? You asked me a few other questions. Well, if I don't offer it up, it didn't mean it didn't happen, and I did see it, but that's it. Everybody knew what was going on. But the fear of the orange guy, and look, I love orange, okay? It's my favorite color. I look like Johnny Cash today, but that's okay. I wear all black. I love orange. But I didn't fear Trump destroying America, even if I had some disagreements in some of the areas. And because I think America, and I want to let everybody know this, America's bigger than Trump and America's bigger than Biden. We are stronger. We are the country. We have good leaders and bad leaders. And that's the reality of it. But the fact that they would go so far as to ignore something that should have and could have made them historic if they covered it right, to me is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But alas, here we are. We're in a world where all that matters is words and kindness. It's not reality, and it's not about actions.
Make me feel good when you talk to me.
I don't want to.
Say things that make me happy.
Okay, I will. You look nice today, Bill.
More. Give me more. It's never enough.
It is never enough. See, that's the problem. You give in once, man, it's never enough. You can't do that. Coming up, some of you have been asking for those Gen Z things and some of those wacky quotes. I'm going to play them again because you start living back in the day. We're talking about drinking from the hose when you were a kid and it's 100 degrees outside. You know when I knew where my friends were? Driving down.
Whoa. Don't get inaccurate on us. It was never 100 degrees back in the day. It was like, in the 80s and 90s. Then global warming happened.
That's right.
And then we started hitting triple digits.
No, it was still hot then. Remember, we didn't have an ozone layer.
Oh, that's right.
But it got better because we stopped using Aquanet. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital. I love Bulwark Capital. Why? Because they're my man. And they're who I send my money to and I work with, and I want you to work with them too. Now, let them show you what it's all about when it comes to your investments and your retirement, how they do things differently, how they are global when it comes to the way they look at investing. And it's not just about one thing or a stock or this, that, and the other. There's so many things they work with. Tomorrow, they're doing a big tariff webinar. It's free. My buddy Zach Abraham's leading it. It is at 5:30. So that's tomorrow at 5:30. They're going to go over the market reaction to tariffs, impact on retirement portfolios, investments globally, as well as many other things, the long-term outlook for this year, as well as what they do. Lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility, give you the most upside potential. It's free. Go to knowyourriskradio.com to sign up. It is tomorrow, 5:30. It's the tariff edition webinar for my friends at Bulwark Capital. Sign up today at knowyourriskradio.com, K-N-O-W, yourriskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involved risk, not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Trek 25206.
All right, drivers, T-Dot says there's a crash in Clarksville blocking the right lane, 24 eastbound near the Sango Road overpass. In Woodbine, we've got a off-ramp partially blocked, 24 westbound to I-440. That's because of a crash. Another crash, 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. Department of Justice ending a federal civil rights investigation into a Tennessee police department. And here President Trump dressed down a reporter. That's coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
He did? He dressed down a reporter? I bet that reporter was from NBC.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my Lord. Probably not from Fox.
Trump, he rarely gets into it with the...
Did you see the one yesterday? Was it Notice? He's like, who are you with? Notice. I've never even heard of it. Get a real job.
Get a real job.
And I'm like, it apparently it's some sort of news organization for the USA. But I never heard of them. When I heard with Notice, I didn't know who they were. I was looking around going, who the hell's Notice? I kept typing in
I never
Notice,
noticed
and
them.
I couldn't find them. I didn't notice you. I've never noticed. Get a real job. It's a real job. So many of you are loving arguing. I don't want to say arguing. Look, you guys can yell at me all you want. I hate to break it to you. Belle, do you think I'm going anywhere?
No.
No.
I saw the ratings. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I'm not liberal. You know what I am? I'm a free thinker. I've got common sense conservative ideas, but to think that my side is running around going, oh, everything's great, I'm the greatest, we never make a mistake, would be a lie. And if you can't hold your own, sometimes accountable, then what are we doing? I mean, that's it. And I saw you reply to somebody, everybody wants affirmation, and we don't do that here. We do humor, and we piss. And if you're not mad at me every once in a while, that's not a kind of relationships. That's a cult. If everybody's believing the same thing all the time.
Without a doubt.
I don't want cult like that. I like free thinkers, right? Ken's a free thinker. He's the weather wizard.
But I do like Kool-Aid.
You do? When's the last time you had Kool-Aid? When's the last time? You know what? Isn't it weird? You get to a certain age.
Last segment.
When's the last time, though? I loved Kool-Aid as a kid, and then I just stopped drinking it. Why?
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a glass of Kool-Aid.
I'll tell you why. Because it's not packaged in a convenient way where you can just take it on the go. So you stop making it and you started drinking other things.
Yeah, we've gotten lazy. That's what's happened.
So we have?
Plus, you know what? I don't even think I have. I highly doubt we have like a bag of sugar in our pantry. I bet you we don't even have sugar in our pantry.
I don't.
Really?
Mm-mm.
No, but you eat really healthy.
Well, not really healthy, but I try to eat not crappy.
No. Well, you
Probably
compared to
the better way
me,
to
like
put it.
every day, because what do you eat? Today I'm like, spicy nuggets.
Oh, I used to sugar that Kool-Aid down back in the day, man.
Everybody did. It was like, do you need, like you pour, like now, like your grandma, your mom would do like one scoop. You take the bag on your shoulder as a kid, you just tip it over like it was cement.
All the Kool-Aid really was a sugar delivery mechanism.
That was it. And the Kool-Aid would be about 4 inches from the top of the thing. And by the time you're finished pouring in all of the sugar, it was at the top, and you're like going around. And it's straight diabetes. That's all it was. Straight diabetes. But you know what was weird? Because it was this regular old sugar. We weren't fat. We rode our bikes all day. We had none of these issues that a lot of these kids have nowadays.
Yeah, we would come in, drink the Kool-Aid, and then go right back out in 70% humidity and 100-degree heat. And just head right back out.
And the only time we would go in, the only reason we would go in to get the Kool-Aid is because we were tired of drinking out of those.
Yeah. And your mom would yell at you, too. You better bring that back. I'm like, okay. And you're never bringing it back.
Sure, Ma.
With the wooden spoons. You know my grandma had on the wall? Those giant wooden spoon and fork?
Oh, yeah.
On the wall that was a clock.
Like Ray Romano's parents did in their house.
Those are so awesome. Oh, my Lord. Back in the day. But then somewhere you got to an age where you're like, I don't drink Kool-Aid anymore. I don't know why I liked it. Now it's fruit punch. But now we got to get rid of that, right? Because of the red dye.
Oh, yeah, it's got the red dye in it, man.
Yeah.
What are they going to use to make it red?
Blood.
There you go. It works better when it's blood. I'm just letting you guys know that. It's better for you if you have iron inside of that. Coming up, crazy, wacky audio that makes everybody laugh. We got a lot of that coming up as well. Some of your text messages and a bunch of other things. If you're missing the show, we say, shame on you. Grab the podcast. It is the Jeff Benson Show.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now in our nation's capital, the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department says it's closing the investigation into alleged constitutional violations within the Memphis Police Department in the wake of the death of Tyree Nichols. It's also retracting what the Biden administration claims it found. Department of Justice also moving to dismiss last-minute lawsuits filed by the Biden administration after President Trump's reelection. Those lawsuits against Louisville and Minneapolis police departments in the wake of the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Department of Justice says it's not going to allow anti-police bureaucrats to strip local policing decisions, potentially costing local communities hundreds of millions of dollars without a legally or factually adequate basis to do so. President Trump took issue with the reporter from NBC trying to ask about the U.S. accepting that luxury Boeing 747 from Qatar right after Trump tried to show evidence of genocide in South Africa.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about? You know, what are you talking about? You know, you to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are you're a terrible reporter.
Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell says in a statement the Department of Defense's acquisition of the Qatari 747 is in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. The Air Force says it's now preparing to award a contract to modify the jet to serve as a presidential aircraft. Details of that agreement, a spokesperson says, will be classified. And officials are assessing damage from yesterday's storms here in Middle Tennessee. This man in Rutherford County.
I couldn't believe it, and then I went out back, and, my pool's damaged. There's a tree in it, and my fence is completely down. There's more trees out back that are gone, completely gone.
Sounds like it shook up the frogs, too. Cell phone video appears to show a massive funnel cloud in Clarksville where people reported damage. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Down near 60 for the overnight low. A few more clouds mix in tomorrow, maybe a little sprinkle of 10 seconds. All of us stay dry. We're in the 70s, 60s, and 70s on Friday with plenty of sunshine. But get ready if you plan for the holiday weekend. Rain will move in on Saturday and continue Sunday and into Monday.
Beacon Capital Management. Just call my buddies over there. Get a retirement for life toolkit because you need one, right? Like you don't want to outlive your money. Like that's the fear of so many people. You don't want to unretire because you have to. If you want to, because you want to start your own business and do something great, but to unretire because you outlived your money. But it's not just about your money with Beacon. They want to be your full-service investment advisor, and that includes things like, health care, estate planning, tax planning. So call them today. Get a free retirement-ready toolkit, 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303. In this, you're going to get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. This doesn't cost you anything, no obligation, no pressure. They're local. Go down and see them. The guys are amazing, and they'll treat you incredible. If you're in retirement or nearing retirement, call them today. Get your free retirement-ready toolkit from our friends at Beacon, 615-488-9303, or online at AskBeaconNow.com. Prize Picks now is your chance to win up 2,000 times your money. And it's simple and easy. It's above, it's below, it's more, it's less. And it's so fun to play with Prize Picks. So what do you do with Prize Picks? Well, first, when you play your first $5 lineup, you download the app, use my code Chad. You get a $50 bonus right into your account, win or lose the first time. It's that simple with Prize Picks. And when I mean above or below, think about this. So Jalen Brunson, basketball player. You're not picking teams, you're picking players. You think he's going to score more than 28.5 points in a game? If you do, boom, go above. How about Anthony Edwards? You think he's going to have more than 3.5 threes in a game? Maybe not. Then go below. It's that simple. And there's plenty of great bonuses, plenty of great promos, and opportunities abound with Prize Picks. But get a $50 bonus the minute you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today, use my code Chad, and get that $50 bonus, win or lose with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be 21, present Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537.
The Boston bar that inspired Cheers is paying tribute to George Wendt, the actor who played Norm Peterson for 11 seasons.
Nice to meet you. What do you do, Norm?
I sit there.
A beer was placed at the end of the bar in his honor. His role as the self-deprecating bar regular would earn him 6 consecutive Emmy nominations. Ted Danson saying he is devastated by the loss of his friend, adding, "It is going to take me a long time to get used to this."
They were, by the way, a group of people that stayed extremely close to one another. So if you guys remember, I think it was year 2 that Coach died. And then that's when they got his nephew, which was Woody.
Oh, yeah.
But everything worked in such an amazing way with that show. My favorite episode with Norm is when Norm had to fire people. And remember, he couldn't do it. He just cried the whole time, and everybody wanted to be fired by him.
That's right.
And then he finally got to the point where it's like, look, I can't do this anymore. I can't cry. I don't care that you're getting fired. And people were like, this sucks. But he was just brilliant. It started out as, again, a bit of a bit character that was going to be around, and it ended up being, it was Ted, and he appeared in every episode. It was incredible. One of only 2 cast members, too. So, absolutely amazing actor, 76, passed away yesterday, and a guy that didn't work a lot in the later years because he didn't have to, because they did okay for themselves. And I remember it was must-see TV on NBC.
That's right.
You had Family Ties. I think the Cosby fellow was there before we all knew what happened. Oh, but we knew. And then we had Cheers. And what was the other one? There was one other one that was the spinoff of the Cosbys.
Talking about it in the 80s?
A Different World? Is that it?
I have no idea.
I think that's right.
Yeah, Different World. But it was must-see TV. Oh, God.
I was too busy doing my homework to watch
You
those
were
shows.
not. Stop with the lies.
George had a really early appearance on in his career on MASH, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
George Wendt?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's right. He did.
Had a cue ball, or had a 8-ball stuck in his head or in his mouth.
Yeah. He was on a TV show called Substitute or something like it lasted 6 episodes and died. And his friend happened to be casting for Cheers. And they said, why don't you come over and read for this thing? And that's kind of how it happens. He goes over, and basically they saw the guy, and he was just like, he didn't even go, I just basically played myself. And it worked. It worked big time. And just like Cliff Clavin. Oh, God, how great was Cliff?
There was an episode where there was kind of a recurring character. I can't remember his name, but he was an old man. And Cliff was going through shock therapy to stop being a jerk. And apparently he would shock him. He would push this button and shock himself every time he felt like he was about to be a jerk.
Oh.
Well, the old man found the clicker and started pushing it. Cliff Clavin was going nuts. Couldn't figure out what was happening, and the old man's going, "Dance, Clavin, dance."
I love that. Do you remember when he was on Jeopardy? When Jeopardy came to Boston, and so like all of the categories were like great mail carriers of the past, like all of the things, and then he had like $40,000, and at the end they asked him like, who are these 3 people? And his answer, he bet everything, Who are 3 people that have never been in my kitchen?
Oh, man, that show was funny.
That show was fantastic. Indeed. Yes, I remember he was also in that B-rated horror movie in the 80s called House. It was a pretty decent movie. Jiminy Cricket. Speaking of the 80s, Gen Z rules. We know this. People have been asking for us to play this again, so let's have some fun.
When y'all are saying that y'all used to drink from the hose, were sinks not an option?
Who's going to tell him? You want me to tell him? I'll tell him. We weren't allowed in the house. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. Our childhood was like one never-ending episode of that TV show Survivor, okay? We are indestructible. We've never sat in car seats. Nobody's ever given us swimming lessons. We've all been either shot with a BB gun or stabbed with a jart.
Oh, the jart. They were so spectacular. So the lawn darts, my kids still marvel at the fact that those things were real. I used to be able to go buy a BB gun just from the store. We could do all of those things. Nobody stopped us. Nobody cared.
No, I ran around my neighborhood with my BB gun shooting at things.
Yeah, shooting at people.
At friends.
Yeah, we were told.
They were shooting back.
They were told, this is what our parents told us. Don't shoot anybody in the eye, okay? And, shoot from the waist down, and don't take it all the way up to the biggest pump. Okay, so like if it did 9, you could go to like 7 or 8. We all went to 9 anyways.
Yeah.
Right, like we did. And
that's whenever me and my friends stopped playing that game was one of our friends got a pump BB gun.
Oh, yeah.
It hurt too bad.
Yeah, they did. We had a... But so what? We had fun. Nobody died.
We had a blast.
I used to jump off the roof of my grandmother's house into the pool with my bike. I had a Skyway. I was rocking it. You guys were probably like, what's up with Chad? We would ride off, never thinking for a moment we could get hurt.
No,
we did. And then you know what Mom would be mad about? I bought you that Skyway, and it's going to get rusty. That's what they thought about.
I never would have done that.
Oh, man, we did. It was so awesome. Because you didn't have to jump like over like 3 feet of concrete below. It was right almost
there.
An overhang.
Yeah.
And the one time I did wipe out, though, I was smart enough to go, you know what I should do? I should go down the slide that's really slippery with my bicycle, and it had a curve. Guess what my bike didn't do? Curve. Not well, it didn't. Yeah, so I ate it. So that was not a good thing. Yeah, let's hear some more from this lady.
The television stations had to make a commercial reminding our parents that they had kids. I you not. Every night on the 10 p.m. news, a voice would come on and say, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? To remind our parents that they had kids. So, no, sir, shirtless with the beanie.
Were sinks not an option?
Nope.
Sinks were not an option.
They were, they were, but still, it's like, you go, it was great. And I'm sad that my kids don't, like, when I lived out in Arizona, because we lived where we used to call it the Valley of the Dirt People, because I lived out in the middle of nowhere. So the kids could do whatever they want, and nobody cared. Where you live in a city, or where Jack lives, it's a little bit different. It's Sierra, it's San Diego. That's a little bit more. My mom with my little brothers and sisters, the neighbors will come over and whine. They're riding their bikes without a helmet. My mom's like, so what? It's my mom. They could get hurt. Well, they'll only do it once, right? And they'll learn or they won't learn. Because I have adopted little brothers and sisters. The other side of it is, when we were kids, we literally were gone all day. So we could eat a gallon of ice cream and have Kool-Aid, and I'm going to burn 5,000 calories riding my bike.
Oh, yeah.
Right. There was days I would ride my bike. Looking back on it now, if I rode my bike like that today, I'd probably pass out. I would say there were days I'd probably ride my bike 30 miles, 40 miles. It was like Tour de France.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And how did you know where your friends were? We drive down the street. Everybody's bike's in front of somebody's house. That's where everybody is.
Yeah. Then their dad would get home and be pissed off because you're blocking the driveway.
They'd be all mad. All mad indeed. Some of you are you're regaling your time when you got hit with a BB gun. So cast was a badge of honor. When's the last time you saw a human being with a cast?
That's been a while.
Right?
Well, I saw Joan with one.
Did she have a cast?
Yep.
Wow, that's weird. I can't remember the last time because, I mean, part of getting a cast was having, getting your signed by everybody. Did you ever break anything?
I never did. I was fortunate.
No, me either.
I had a
At least
teacher
I know of.
I had a teacher during a game of dodgeball jam the ball into my hand and snap one of my fingers.
Oh. So you had one of those stupid casts.
Yeah,
right?
it was
Like
one of those little bendy metal things on it.
Yeah. But you know what? It was cool. Your friends like, well, check that out. Oh, yeah, what happened there? Those were the days. Those were the days.
Those were the days.
You had a nurse in school.
Yeah, that's right.
She was smoking, and she didn't care if you needed aspirin. She'd give it to you. She didn't have to have 12 things signed, affidavits, and all that kind of stuff. Here, take some of this stuff. You'll be fine.
We had a coach in the 5th and 6th grades who on Fridays was Boxing Day. And so on our afternoon recess, which was always the long recess, I'm not lying, we had a 45-minute recess.
Those were the good old
in the
days.
afternoons. And on Fridays, that was Boxing Day. He'd pull out, 2 sets of boxing gloves, and we could box each other. I got my ass kicked one
But you know
time.
what? It was awesome.
Oh, it was fun.
It was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like that was so much, all of that stuff.
You
was
can't do
great.
that
You can't do that. Are you kidding me? They've got recess coaches. Nobody loses. You just didn't do as well as somebody else.
Remember dodgeball?
God, yeah.
And how hard some people
You
could
look over at that girl you really liked, and you're like, I like her so much, I'm going to knock her off her head. I'm going to knock her right on her ass. How much you like Sally? Let me show you. Chad's got a trust in Sally. Sally's got a broken nose, and she's in there. He's like, that's my handiwork. Oh, good. Those were the days.
Those were the days.
I try to tell everybody about those days. Kids, nothing will be more glorious in your life as that final bell that's a half day at the end of the year when you know summer starts. You could bottle that up. That is the greatest feeling in the history. That is the dragon of dragons right there.
It was, man.
Oh.
It was.
And all day, the teachers are trying to get you to do something instructive, and all you can think about is getting the hell out of class.
You're done. Like, this is it. I got nothing. Tomorrow I'm waking up. That first day you wake up on a Tuesday or whatever it is, whatever day you got, Friday, and you don't have to go to school. The birds chirping's a little bit louder and better. Everybody's skipping around. Why? You don't have school.
Yeah.
It's great. Mom and dad had to work. Then you get older and you're like, this sucks. What do you mean I don't have a summer anymore? It's not the way that works in adult life.
No, it does not.
No.
It all goes away.
That's for damn sure. A lot of you, I got a tattoo at recess. Look at that. That's fantastic. You win the day. Dirt clod fights.
Oh, yeah.
Dirt clod fights were great.
Bottle rocket fights.
Oh, phenomenal. That was great.
Fights, period. Just fights.
Yeah, fights. And fights when you're like, okay, I'll meet you after school next to Zodi's.
And all day
Because
long.
everybody had a place where you went and fought.
Yes.
Behind the buses,
right? Like, that was it. Behind the bus. And you didn't let anybody get killed. Somebody fell down. Everybody shaked hands. Next day, you guys might be friends.
That was it.
That was the way life was. Not like today. Coming up, we'll wrap it up. I think Matt's here. He may not be here. We don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll keep going. All right? That's what we do here. Why don't you guys go play some lawn darts, and we'll be back after this. Chad Ben Show, Super Talk 997. absolute bold-faced. We're talking dental stuff with our next guest, Matt Murphy, the dentist, DDS.
Hello, Chadley. It's Matt.
Dr.
Matt.
Dr. Matt. Dr. Matt, is it true that you had a deep cleaning today?
I did.
How'd that work
and
out
I'm
for
a
you?
little, I don't know if it's the drugs. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I was kind of dizzy yesterday, and I'm more dizzy today, and I'm going to go ahead and blame it on the drugs from the deep cleaning, but I don't know if that's the case.
Well,
Maybe
you've
I'm
been pretty
drugs
dizzy
again.
the whole time I've known you.
I'd like to say that I'm dying, but we're all dying, but so I suppose that I am. But yeah, so I'm a little out of it. So all of you people that like to get me, I'm gettable today.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of people mad at me today.
I am a little angry today. I'm going to take my anger out on Republicans.
Oh, really? Why? Oh, good. Good. They can. Why,
they deserve it.
On why?
I just wish Republicans would govern in the majority like they do when they're in the minority. You know how damn conservative they are when they're in the minority? And they always say no to everything because we don't have the money for it, and they're worried about the debt, and they're worried about the deficit. It does not seem to me that they worry about these things when they're in when they're in the majority. They start moaning and complaining about what they're going to spend the money on, instead of maybe we should spend less money. Maybe now's a time, and I'm not against the tax rates remaining the same. Maybe now isn't the time to focus and worry about tax rates so much as the fact that we overspent by $2 trillion.
And we're gonna and this, no matter what they tell you, and you could go look at the CBO, get rid of the CBO, go look at Wharton Business School, and the other 43 other ones have all said, yeah, this thing's going to jack up the debt even more. And why are we cutting taxes when we should leave them the same?
Well, we're not cutting, and I disagree with the characterization.
Keeping them the same.
I mean, you have to pass this legislation to keep the rates where they are, otherwise they go up. But I mean, it's just semantics. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
you're debating both at the same time. Well, which is most important right now?
To me, spending less is most important, but you're not going to do that. So if you're not going to spend less, then you're going to have to figure out where you're going to raise more.
I mean, it's not that difficult. We do it in our daily lives. That if we
can't print money.
See, and that's the thing, is that you're right. That's the other side of the analogy because we always use it. It's like in our daily lives, you got to spend less if you need more. Well, but if we could print money, I'd be printing some money.
That's right. If I could sell a 10-year Chad bond at 3.5% to China for $1 gazillion, I'd go and do that.
And by the way that we do that is exactly what they arrest people for in a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, that's it.
It's exactly the same thing. That we have these bonds that always come due. They come due in a rolling fashion, and we pay them off by selling more bonds that come due 15 years from now, and we pay the bonds off today. Yeah. And it's just
That's it.
It's a constant rolling bond payment. And then we have to pay the interest on all of that.
And that, at this rate, is going to be, in a few years, $1 trillion a year.
And you know, and we talk, well, we're not touching Medicaid. We're not touching Social Security. Well, why aren't we looking at these things? These programs that you pretend are sacred cows, those are broken programs too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, by the way, by not touching them, you know what you do? You're just telling everybody, I don't want to be the guy that's holding the bag when this thing goes up.
Well, because that's what, and I was talking to my buddy Jay St. Clair on the golf course last week about this, that they have the benefit of knowing they can overspend and get reelected and then die and not worry about the consequences.
Yeah.
And that's what they do.
And well, because they know once they're not going to be there when they're the last one to kick the can.
Right.
They know that.
It's infuriating.
Somebody was mad at me today for numerous things, and I've been saying, I look at Thomas Massey. Here's the thing about him. He's pretty much across the board. This is what he does. Several of these people. And yet now you've got a battle of people who are like, we can't touch these things. And then you got a battle of people going, we better touch these things. So if you give into one group, the other group's going to say no. If you give in this group, they're going to say no. How about we step back and go, okay, what's the reality of this? Well, maybe we need to raise some taxes on the wealthy. If we're going to keep some tax cuts, how about the middle class gets a little bit more? And then maybe we look outside and say we're going to have to, how about raising the Social Security the limit on what you can and when you can give? How about some of these things that are not hard?
Is it not embarrassing to the Republican Party? And I'm not a member of the Republican Party, but is it not embarrassing to Republicans that you had 8 years of George W. Bush and 4 full years of Donald Trump, and the last person to be president of the United States when the budget was balanced was Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Is that not embarrassing to anybody in the Republican Party?
No, they don't care. They don't care.
They don't care.
You know what? And
maybe it's just the drugs talking. Chad,
maybe it is. No, you're going to be yelled at too. Hey, guys, yell at him. You guys have a good weekend. Des in for the next couple of days. I'm back on Tuesday. Have a good Memorial Day. Thank you, soldiers, and everybody else sacrificed out there. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Adios.